Elevator paradox. Imagine you're standing in a busy office building, rushing to catch an elevator. You're already running late. Your pulse quickens as you press the glowing elevator button. It lights up, a reassuring promise that help is on the way. And yet, something feels strangely off. As you glance anxiously between the two elevators on either side of you, something puzzling begins to emerge. Every elevator seems to always be going in the opposite direction from where you're headed. You're going up, they're moving down. You're heading down, they're climbing upward. It feels as if the universe is conspiring against your patience. Welcome to the elevator paradox, an intriguing, frustrating, and oddly relatable phenomenon that plagues anyone who has ever waited impatiently in a lobby. At first glance, it feels like nothing more than an annoying quirk of daily life, an everyday inconvenience so mundane it seems silly even to mention it. Yet beneath this trivial annoyance lies a fascinating logical puzzle and profound insights into perception, probability, and human psychology. The elevator paradox is elegantly simple yet deeply perplexing. It asserts this curious phenomenon. When waiting for an elevator in a building with multiple floors and multiple elevators, it's more likely you'll notice elevators moving in the opposite direction from your intended route. But why does this happen? Let's first clearly articulate the paradox itself. Suppose you're standing in a building's lobby, impatiently waiting to ascend. The elevators are scattered randomly across the floors above you. Because you're at the lowest floor, elevators above your level naturally need to descend to reach you. Thus, logically, you'd expect elevators coming down more frequently. Yet surprisingly, you experience the opposite sensation. It feels as if every elevator you see is already occupied or continuously moving away from your direction. Elevators pass downward floors above you, but they're never empty. Frustratingly, when an elevator finally stops at your floor, it's almost always traveling in the opposite direction or crowded beyond your imagination. Now consider the scenario flipped upside down. You're waiting to go down, standing impatiently at the top floors. Again, the logic tells you elevators from floors beneath must ascend to get you. Yet, paradoxically, you find yourself constantly facing elevators heading the wrong direction or full of people. Why does perception always contradict expectation? To unravel this paradox, we must understand its fundamental nature. It isn't just about elevators, it's about human perception versus statistical reality. Firstly, consider that in multi-elevator buildings, each elevator spends more time on floors with higher traffic and waiting durations. These busier floors inevitably slow elevators, making them appear to linger frustratingly at the wrong place. Moreover, elevators headed toward crowded directions stop frequently, magnifying their visibility, while elevators traveling in your preferred direction, ironically, zip past unnoticed or are rarely empty when they arrive. This reveals a key truth behind the paradox: selective perception. Human minds are excellent at noticing inconvenience and frustration, but incredibly poor at recognizing quiet efficiency or mundane consistency. When you wait impatiently, the elevators that irritate you, those going the opposite way or already full, stand out vividly, imprinting strongly on your memory and creating the illusion of systematic inconvenience. Yet, as fascinating as selective perception is, there's also genuine mathematical reasoning behind the elevator paradox. Statistically, elevators spend more cumulative time moving in the crowded direction during peak hours, precisely because they're stopping frequently at each floor, waiting for people to exit and enter. The very act of pausing repeatedly, collecting passengers, or letting them off increases the likelihood that you'll spot elevators that do not suit your immediate needs. Moreover, elevators moving swiftly in your desired direction, already at maximum capacity, simply won't stop for you. You rarely even notice them. They blur past quickly, silently aggravating you without even being consciously registered. This creates an imbalance in observation. Your mind logs numerous frustrating encounters, but rarely registers the fleeting moments of efficiency or helpfulness. This paradox also subtly illustrates deeper truths about human nature and impatience. When we desperately want something, our minds grow increasingly sensitive to every minute of delay, magnifying small waits into endless ordeals. Time feels longer, annoyance feels amplified, and even small delays become unbearable. Thus, the elevator paradox isn't merely logical or statistical. It's psychological, deeply entwined with the human condition itself. Beyond human psychology and probability, the elevator paradox also extends into metaphorical realms. Life itself often feels like this frustrating elevator lobby, constantly waiting for opportunities that feel forever heading away from us, jobs that elude us, relationships that slip through our fingers, dreams seemingly always moving in opposite directions. But here's the paradox's most profound insight. Just as elevators inevitably cycle back toward your direction eventually, so do opportunities, chances, and positive changes. Often, it's not that opportunities are permanently absent, it's that impatience blinds us to the quiet inevitability of their return. The elevator paradox teaches patience and awareness, not just of elevators, but of life's cyclic rhythms. Thus, while the elevator paradox appears trivial, beneath its simplicity lies extraordinary depth. It's a window into how we perceive and misperceive our world, how expectations shape experiences, and how human minds distort reality into paradoxical shapes. Can the elevator paradox be solved then? Not precisely, because it's more than a logistical inconvenience. It's an exploration of the subtle illusions that define daily human experience. Elevators will forever seem to move in frustrating directions, just as life's pathways often appear annoyingly contrary. Yet perhaps the ultimate lesson of the elevator paradox lies in recognizing the trap itself, the illusion created by impatience, selective memory, and skewed perception. If you find yourself staring irritably at elevator doors, wondering why every carriage moves opposite your intention, pause for a moment. Remember the paradox. Take a deep breath and realize that eventually, inevitably, the doors will open. The elevator will arrive. Life, like elevators, always comes back around, if only we give it a chance to move at its own rhythm, patiently awaiting the moment when the arrow finally points our way. Until then, enjoy the wait. After all, sometimes life's greatest wisdom arrives not from rushing through open doors, but from thoughtfully exploring the paradoxes we encounter along the way. Butterfly effect paradox. Imagine a butterfly gently flapping its delicate wings in a lush rainforest, a seemingly insignificant action in the vastness of nature. Yet, unknown to the butterfly, this tiny flutter sets off a chain reaction, quietly building momentum with each passing moment. Days or weeks later, on the opposite side of the globe, a fierce storm begins to form, its origins impossibly traced back to that single, gentle beat of wings. Welcome to the butterfly effect paradox, an intriguing phenomenon that challenges our understanding of causality and the interconnectedness of events. At its heart lies a simple yet profound question. How can something so minor, so subtle, have consequences so monumental and dramatic? First articulated by meteorologist Edward Lorenz, the butterfly effect originated within chaos theory, a mathematical exploration of how tiny variations can drastically alter outcomes. Lorenz discovered that minor, seemingly irrelevant differences in initial weather conditions could lead to wildly different forecasts. He famously summarized it by asking, "Does the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil Set off a tornado in Texas? But the paradox runs deeper than meteorology. It's a philosophical exploration of causation, predictability, and control. Let's carefully dissect this captivating paradox to uncover the profound truths it reveals. Consider your own life. Every day, you make countless minor decisions. Taking an extra sip of coffee, leaving your home 1 minute later, or choosing a slightly different route to work. Each of these minor choices on its own seems harmlessly trivial. Yet, each has the potential to alter your life in profound and unforeseeable ways. Imagine leaving home just 1 minute later. Perhaps you narrowly avoid an accident at an intersection. Or perhaps this slight delay leads you to encounter someone who eventually becomes a lifelong friend or partner. Such scenarios aren't just fanciful imaginings, they're the essence of the butterfly effect. Yet, herein lies the paradox. How can we possibly navigate a world where even the smallest action has potentially massive consequences? If every tiny decision can dramatically alter our future, are we constantly at the mercy of unseen forces and unpredictable outcomes? The butterfly effect paradox vividly illustrates the limits of human control and prediction. We live our lives believing we understand cause and effect, yet chaos theory insists otherwise. Small, imperceptible events shape our reality in ways we can never fully grasp. This paradox also highlights our deeply flawed perception of importance. We typically assume only significant, noticeable events produce major changes. But the butterfly effect reminds us that history and our own lives are often shaped more profoundly by minor, unnoticed actions. Think historically. What if a young artist named Adolf Hitler had succeeded in entering art school? Or if a security guard at Watergate had decided to ignore a seemingly minor disturbance? These minor events, had they differed slightly, could have dramatically rewritten human history. This unsettling realization brings us face to face with another profound philosophical question. Do we truly have free will if our smallest, seemingly inconsequential choices can spiral beyond our control? Or are we merely drifting in the currents of an unpredictable universe? Yet, paradoxically, the butterfly effect doesn't simply undermine our sense of control, it also empowers us. Recognizing the immense potential impact of tiny actions encourages mindfulness and intentionality in even our smallest choices. Knowing that minor acts can echo through time inspires us to act thoughtfully and responsibly. The butterfly effect thus becomes more than a fascinating puzzle. It evolves into a moral philosophy. If every action potentially carries great significance, how then should we choose to live? This paradox suggests a profound ethical responsibility. Awareness that our smallest acts can significantly affect others and the broader world. But even deeper still, the paradox resonates spiritually, reminding us of interconnectedness, how deeply woven we are into the fabric of existence. We are not isolated beings acting independently. Instead, every decision, every action, subtly reverberates through the complex web of life. Ultimately, the butterfly effect paradox isn't designed to paralyze us with indecision. Rather, it invites reflection and humility. It calls us to embrace uncertainty as an inherent part of life and recognize that our sense of control may be more illusion than reality. Can this paradox ever be solved? Perhaps not. Its true value lies not in a neat resolution, but in the awareness it sparks, the recognition of life's fragility, unpredictability, and wonder. So, the next time you see a butterfly gently fluttering by, consider its quiet power. Reflect on how each flap of its wings whispers the profound lesson of the butterfly effect, that even our smallest actions hold the power to shape worlds. In a universe governed by subtlety and complexity, perhaps the most meaningful choice we can make is to live consciously, ever mindful of the delicate yet powerful threads that connect us all. Ben Franklin Effect. Imagine you've just met someone new and you're eager to build a strong friendship. Common sense might tell you that to earn their affection, you should do them favors, offer help, or extend kindness. Yet, intriguingly, psychological research suggests something entirely counterintuitive. Instead of doing favors for them, perhaps you should ask them to do a favor for you. Welcome to the Ben Franklin Effect, a paradoxical social phenomenon named after one of America's most insightful founding fathers. At first glance, it sounds absurd. How could asking someone to do you a favor possibly increase their liking toward you? To fully grasp this fascinating paradox, let's travel back in time. Benjamin Franklin himself first identified this peculiar insight through a personal experience. In the Pennsylvania legislature, Franklin faced opposition from a rival legislator. Rather than retaliating or ignoring him, Franklin chose an unusual tactic. He politely asked his adversary to lend him a rare book from his personal collection. The rival, surprised but flattered, granted Franklin's request. After returning the book with gratitude, Franklin noticed a dramatic change. The adversary not only warmed towards him, but became a lifelong friend and ally. But why did this seemingly irrational approach work? Why does performing a favor for someone else lead us to like them more? Let's carefully unravel the logic behind this fascinating paradox. The Ben Franklin effect reveals profound insights into cognitive dissonance, a psychological state where conflicting thoughts or behaviors create discomfort, compelling individuals to reconcile these contradictions. When you perform a favor for someone you don't yet particularly like, your brain faces a puzzling dilemma. Why am I helping someone I don't feel positively about? To resolve this internal conflict, your brain subtly alters your perceptions, nudging you to conclude that you must actually like this person. Otherwise, why would you have helped them? This subtle shift in mindset quickly transforms neutrality, or even mild dislike, into genuine fondness. Conversely, when someone consistently does favors for you without reciprocation, your brain might interpret these gestures negatively, wondering if the other person is trying too hard or harboring ulterior motives. Oddly enough, constantly receiving kindness without returning it may not build relationships but subtly undermine them. Thus, paradoxically, asking for help can be more beneficial in establishing connections than giving it. It reveals trust and vulnerability, inviting others into your life in a uniquely powerful way. People appreciate being valued, and being asked for assistance signals respect and trust in their capabilities. Consider everyday situations, colleagues in a workplace, new friendships, or even romantic interests. Simply asking someone for a small favor, borrowing a pen, requesting help with a task, or seeking advice can trigger this powerful psychological shift, enhancing mutual affection and camaraderie. Yet, this paradox also hints at deeper human truths. Beneath its simplicity lies our innate desire to be meaningful contributors in the lives of others. Humans crave the validation and significance that comes from helping others. Thus, the Ben Franklin effect isn't just a curious quirk. It taps into a fundamental aspect of human nature, our longing to feel valuable, useful, and respected. But does this paradox imply manipulation? Far from it. Understanding this effect doesn't mean exploiting others, but rather embracing a genuine approach to relationships based on mutual respect and sincere vulnerability. It suggests that meaningful connections are built not through transactional kindness, but through authentic exchanges of support and trust. Furthermore, the Ben Franklin effect sheds light on our biases and misconceptions about how relationships form. Society often emphasizes generosity and altruism as primary tools for building relationships, overlooking the powerful role vulnerability and reciprocal dependence play. This paradox also invites introspection. Perhaps we underestimate the strength of vulnerability in fostering genuine human bonds. When you openly acknowledge you need someone's assistance, you're subtly inviting them into your inner circle, strengthening bonds of trust and mutual appreciation. Can this paradox be fully explained or rationalized? Perhaps not completely, since human emotions and relationships often defy neat logical formulas. Yet, its enduring wisdom remains clear. Vulnerability, humility, and mutual exchange form the most powerful foundation for human connections. So, next time you're seeking to deepen your relationship with someone new, remember Benjamin Franklin and his clever paradoxical insight. Sometimes, the strongest connections begin not by offering your help, but by gently and sincerely asking for theirs. Ultimately, the Ben Franklin effect teaches a vital lesson. Genuine relationships thrive not just on giving, but on a mutual dance of giving and receiving, where vulnerability paves the path to authentic and lasting bonds. Lazy bureaucrat paradox. Imagine an office, quiet yet bustling, where paperwork flows like an endless river and responsibilities pile up endlessly. Within this labyrinth of desks and deadlines, there's a bureaucrat, seemingly diligent, but secretly driven by an unusual ambition to do as little as possible. Yet, paradoxically, this very desire to avoid work propels him into a state of constant activity. Welcome to the lazy bureaucrat paradox, a curious phenomenon revealing surprising insights into productivity, efficiency, and human psychology. At first glance, it seems contradictory. How can the desire to be lazy actually lead to more work? Let's carefully explore this intriguing paradox. Our bureaucrat's strategy for minimizing effort is straightforward. He consistently deflects responsibilities, delegating tasks, sending emails, creating paperwork, and scheduling unnecessary meetings, all intended solely to evade actual productive effort. Ironically, this behavior generates additional complexity and bureaucracy, inevitably requiring more work, not just from himself, but from his colleagues and subordinates as well. By attempting to avoid tasks, he inadvertently creates layers of work that multiply exponentially, trapping him and everyone else in an endless cycle of busy work. This paradox exposes a profound insight into how organizations function. Efficiency and productivity aren't merely about activity or busyness. They're fundamentally about meaningful action. Bureaucratic systems, often designed to streamline processes, sometimes devolve into chaotic webs of needless complexity precisely because of attempts to reduce personal responsibility. The lazy bureaucrat isn't necessarily malicious or even intentionally obstructive. His actions emerge from a natural human impulse to conserve energy and minimize unnecessary effort. Yet, paradoxically, his attempt to simplify his own workload makes everything more complicated and stressful for himself and others. On a deeper level, this paradox reveals critical insights into human behavior and institutional culture. People often mistake busyness for productivity, confusing activity with accomplishment. This creates a vicious cycle. More meetings lead to less clarity, more emails generate confusion rather than solutions, and more paperwork obscures accountability rather than establishing it. Interestingly, the lazy bureaucrat paradox also illustrates a common human cognitive bias, the illusion of control. By creating excessive processes, procedures, and checkpoints, people feel a comforting illusion of managing uncertainty. Yet, ironically, these very efforts to control outcomes typically result in diminished control, further entrenching chaos rather than alleviating it. This paradox extends far beyond government offices or corporate cubicles. It appears everywhere from academic institutions and healthcare systems, to large corporations. Wherever people attempt to minimize personal responsibility through complicated procedures, they unintentionally foster inefficiency and frustration. Moreover, the paradox also emphasizes the difference between motion and progress. Just because someone is busy doesn't mean they're moving forward. True efficiency involves thoughtful, purposeful action, not just frantic busyness. But can this paradox ever be resolved? Yes, but not easily. The resolution lies in recognizing and addressing the underlying motivations driving excessive bureaucracy. Leaders and institutions must embrace simplicity, clarity, and direct accountability. They must resist the seductive comfort of complexity, recognizing it often serves as camouflage for avoiding genuine effort. Organizations can break free of this paradox by fostering a culture of meaningful productivity rather than mere activity. Encouraging transparency, simplicity, and clear communication drastically reduces unnecessary complexity and ensures genuine progress. Yet, solving the lazy bureaucrat paradox demands introspection and honesty. Institutions must openly confront the reasons why unnecessary bureaucracy thrives. Are procedures genuinely necessary, or do they merely comfort people who fear responsibility? On a personal level, recognizing this paradox helps individuals reevaluate their own work habits. Am I busy because I'm productive, or am I trapped in activity that merely masquerades as productivity? Awareness of this paradox invites us to rethink our priorities and become genuinely effective rather than simply busy. Thus, the lazy bureaucrat paradox isn't merely a humorous quirk of office life. It's a powerful metaphor for examining productivity, responsibility, and accountability in modern society. By understanding its deeper implications, we can build healthier organizations and more meaningful professional lives. So next time you find yourself overwhelmed by seemingly endless tasks, pause and reflect. Am I caught in the lazy bureaucrat paradox? Am I creating complexity merely to avoid real work? Embrace simplicity, clarity, and meaningful action. Ultimately, the paradox teaches a crucial lesson. True productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing what's genuinely important. The secret to efficiency lies not in evading work, but in embracing meaningful effort. Paradox of the clever fool. Imagine a wise philosopher standing before a curious audience, humbly proclaiming, "The only thing I know is that I know nothing." At first glance, this seems like an absurd contradiction. How can someone considered wise admit to profound ignorance? Welcome to the paradox of the clever fool. This paradox captures a deep and fascinating truth about wisdom, intelligence, and self-awareness. At its core lies the idea that true wisdom involves recognizing one's own ignorance, whereas true ignorance often masquerades as confidence in absolute knowledge. To fully appreciate this paradox, let's travel back to ancient Greece, where Socrates, one of history's greatest thinkers, famously stated, "I know that I know nothing." This wasn't just playful irony, it was a profound philosophical stance. Socrates believed genuine wisdom began with admitting the limits of one's own knowledge. The paradox emerges clearly here. Socrates was undeniably wise, admired by scholars for generations. Yet his wisdom stemmed precisely from admitting ignorance. How can acknowledging one's ignorance be a hallmark of true wisdom? To unravel this paradox, consider the opposite figure, the fool. Often depicted as confident, assertive, and unwavering in their beliefs, fools rarely recognize their lack of understanding. This certainty, ironically, locks them into ignorance, preventing any genuine learning or growth. Meanwhile, the clever fool, the paradox's heart, stands at the intersection of these extremes. Clever fools realize how much they don't know, becoming perpetually curious, humble, and open-minded. Paradoxically, It's precisely this acknowledgement that elevates them beyond simple ignorance, propelling them into genuine wisdom. This paradox reveals critical insights into human psychology and learning. The Dunning-Kruger effect, a psychological phenomenon, perfectly captures the paradox of the clever fool. It describes how individuals with limited knowledge often dramatically overestimate their understanding, while genuinely knowledgeable individuals underestimate their own competence, recognizing the vastness of what they don't yet understand. Think of experts in any field. They typically admit that their specialized knowledge is dwarfed by what remains unknown. This humility fuels continued learning, growth, and deeper expertise. Conversely, those with superficial knowledge often confidently misjudge their abilities, blocking themselves from genuine progress. This paradox isn't limited to academic or intellectual realms. It permeates everyday life. Consider relationships, politics, or even online debates. Often, the loudest, most confident voices are those who understand the least. Meanwhile, those with nuanced understanding are typically more cautious, aware of complexities, and less inclined toward absolute certainty. Yet, this paradox poses an important question. Does acknowledging one's ignorance imply a lack of confidence or capability? Quite the opposite. Realizing what you don't know reflects deeper intelligence, signaling emotional and intellectual maturity. It shows strength, courage, and openness to growth, rather than weakness or hesitation. Furthermore, the paradox highlights a profound cultural misinterpretation. Society frequently equates confidence with competence, rewarding assertiveness over humility. Yet true competence thrives precisely where humility meets curiosity, where individuals openly recognize their limitations and enthusiastically embrace opportunities to learn. Philosophically, the paradox challenges our understanding of knowledge itself. If true wisdom begins with recognizing ignorance, then perhaps knowledge isn't merely accumulation, but continuous exploration. Perhaps wisdom involves accepting uncertainty, recognizing complexity, and continually questioning rather than clinging to fixed answers. So, can this paradox ever be fully resolved? Likely not, because it reflects an essential aspect of human cognition and learning. However, awareness of this paradox can profoundly change our approach to education, leadership, and personal development. Embracing humility and curiosity over false certainty can transform how we navigate the world. This paradox also encourages introspection. It invites us to ask ourselves regularly, what assumptions am I making? What do I think I understand that I truly don't? Recognizing and embracing ignorance can lead to richer, more meaningful learning experiences. Ultimately, the paradox of the clever fool imparts a powerful lesson. Genuine wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing how little you know and always striving to learn more. Wisdom thrives in curiosity, humility, and openness, not in rigid certainty or arrogant self-assurance. So next time you confidently believe you've grasped something completely, pause and recall the clever fool. Reflect on Socrates' timeless wisdom, and remember that the first step toward genuine understanding is always admitting how much there is still to learn. After all, the most profound truth might just be the paradox itself. The wisest among us, indeed, are often those humble enough to see themselves clearly. As clever fools, forever curious, forever learning. Paradox of the spoiled movie. Imagine eagerly settling into your seat at the cinema, popcorn in hand, excitement bubbling as the film begins. Suddenly, your friend leans over and casually whispers the shocking twist ending. Your heart sinks, your enthusiasm evaporates, and the anticipation you've cherished seems utterly ruined. Yet, paradoxically, research suggests that knowing spoilers, those seemingly frustrating revelations can actually enhance your enjoyment of the story. Welcome to the paradox of the spoiled movie, an intriguing and counterintuitive phenomenon that challenges our deeply held assumptions about surprise, suspense, and enjoyment. This paradox stems from a fascinating psychological discovery. While common wisdom insists that spoilers diminish pleasure, studies consistently show the opposite. Audiences who already know the plot, twists frequently report greater satisfaction and deeper enjoyment from the narrative. But how can spoiling a crucial surprise make the experience better rather than worse? Let's carefully unravel this unexpected contradiction. One explanation lies in the concept of processing fluency, the ease with which people understand and follow narratives. Knowing the outcome beforehand allows your brain to relax and better appreciate the subtle craftsmanship of storytelling, character development, foreshadowing, and thematic depth, without anxiety over what's coming next. Consider how revisiting your favorite film or book often feels richer and more meaningful, despite already knowing its secrets. Repeated viewings deepen your emotional connection precisely because your attention shifts from suspenseful anticipation to detailed appreciation. Spoilers operate similarly, allowing first-time viewers to engage with the narrative on a deeper emotional and intellectual level. Moreover, knowing spoilers doesn't necessarily eliminate suspense. Instead, it transforms it. Suspense isn't solely about surprise. It's about tension, atmosphere, and emotional investment. With spoilers, you begin anticipating how events unfold rather than just what happens, heightening your awareness of the narrative's emotional nuances. The paradox also highlights our flawed perception of narrative experiences. Society commonly values shock and surprise above depth and reflection. Yet true enjoyment often thrives not merely in twists and turns, but in understanding, empathy, and emotional resonance. Spoilers, paradoxically, facilitate this deeper engagement. This phenomenon extends beyond films and novels. Think of history, myths, or classic literature. Knowing historical outcomes or cultural legends beforehand rarely diminishes their emotional impact. Shakespeare's plays, Greek tragedies, or classic films remain compelling precisely because audiences already know the endings, enabling greater appreciation of artistry and emotional resonance. Yet, this paradox raises another profound question. Why do we instinctively recoil from spoilers if they genuinely enhance enjoyment? Perhaps it reflects our cultural obsession with novelty and surprise, the thrill of discovering the unknown. However, surprise alone rarely defines the lasting impact of great stories. Psychologically, spoilers may also reduce anxiety, allowing audiences to manage emotional expectations. Knowing that a beloved character survives or that a troubling conflict resolves positively can make intense emotional journeys less stressful, freeing the viewer to focus on the narrative's depth and craftsmanship rather than mere outcomes. Furthermore, the paradox of the spoiled movie emphasizes the complexity of human storytelling. Stories are more than their endings. They are intricate webs of characters, motivations, themes, and artistic choices. Spoilers reveal the limited perspective of viewing stories solely through outcomes, neglecting the beauty and complexity of narrative journeys themselves. Can this paradox be reconciled with our desire for fresh experiences? Perhaps partially. While some people will always prefer the pure surprise of an unknown ending, acknowledging this paradox invites us to reconsider how we approach stories. Perhaps we might occasionally embrace spoilers, appreciating narratives not merely as puzzles to be solved, but as immersive emotional experiences to be savored. This paradox also offers deeper insights into our approach to life itself. Often, we fixate anxiously on future uncertainties, career moves, relationships, life choices, wishing desperately we could glimpse outcomes. But knowing the spoilers for life's big events wouldn't necessarily diminish our joy. Rather, it might help us cherish the journey more deeply and meaningfully. Thus, the paradox of the spoiled movie isn't simply about cinematic experiences, it's about embracing uncertainty, understanding our emotional reactions, and recognizing the deeper value in fully appreciating narratives beyond mere plot twists. Next time someone accidentally reveals the ending of your anticipated film or series, pause before frustration overtakes you. Remember this paradox. Consider the deeper layers now accessible: character subtleties, thematic connections, and emotional nuances. Ultimately, the paradox of the spoiled movie reminds us that the richest stories aren't defined by surprising twists, but by the depth of experience, emotional connection, and meaningful reflection they inspire. Spoilers, paradoxically, might just offer the keys to richer, deeper storytelling experiences. Online dating paradox. Imagine opening your phone, scrolling through countless profiles, each promising a potential connection, a spark, or even a lifelong partnership. At your fingertips lies an endless sea of possibilities. More choices than humans have ever had at any other time in history. Yet, paradoxically, this overwhelming abundance of options often leaves you feeling lonelier and less satisfied than ever. Welcome to the online dating paradox, a fascinating yet troubling phenomenon that captures the ironic reality of modern relationships. The more potential matches available, the harder genuine connections become. But how can access to unlimited potential partners leave individuals feeling isolated or unhappy rather than fulfilled and connected? Let's carefully dissect this paradox to reveal the underlying truths it holds about choice, satisfaction, and human relationships. At the heart of this paradox lies the concept known as choice overload. Research consistently demonstrates that too many choices can lead to anxiety, indecision, and decreased satisfaction. When faced with seemingly endless potential partners, people often feel overwhelmed, continuously searching for something better, someone smarter, more attractive, or more compatible. Yet, rather than finding perfect matches, users typically experience growing frustration, dissatisfaction, and loneliness. Each new profile viewed seems to diminish appreciation for the ones before, perpetuating a cycle of constant searching but never truly finding fulfillment. Moreover, online dating platforms often encourage superficial judgments based primarily on appearances or brief profiles. The paradox emerges clearly here. Despite having abundant choices, meaningful human connections become increasingly rare because depth and genuine compatibility are often overlooked in favor of immediate attraction or perceived perfection. This phenomenon also ties into another critical psychological concept: the fear of missing out, or FOMO. Online dating continuously highlights endless possibilities, amplifying anxieties that choosing one person means missing out on others who might be even better. Consequently, commitment becomes difficult, and relationships remain superficial, fleeting, and unsatisfying. The online dating paradox isn't merely about dating, it's about human nature and our relationship with choices. Historically, humans evolved in environments of limited choice, developing social bonds deeply rooted in necessity, shared community, and proximity. Today's infinite choices radically alter these fundamental conditions, creating an unprecedented psychological landscape. Additionally, the paradox underscores the disconnect between virtual interactions and genuine emotional bonds. Online platforms provide ease of access, convenience, and speed, yet often lack crucial human elements such as emotional depth, authenticity, and genuine intimacy. This creates relationships that may appear fulfilling superficially, but ultimately fail to meet deeper emotional needs. Paradoxically, increased choice frequently results in lower standards of satisfaction. The presence of endless alternatives reduces commitment to any single choice, making each relationship feel disposable. People become less willing to navigate challenges or conflicts, constantly tempted by the illusion that a better partner awaits just a swipe away. Yet, can this paradox ever be resolved? Potentially, but only through awareness and intentionality. Recognizing the pitfalls of endless choice can help individuals navigate online dating more consciously. By prioritizing depth over superficial judgments, authenticity over perfection, and meaningful connections over fleeting interests, individuals can reclaim satisfaction within the digital dating landscape. Moreover, addressing this paradox demands a cultural shift toward understanding what genuinely creates happiness and fulfillment in relationships. Society frequently emphasizes abundance and novelty, yet true emotional satisfaction often thrives in stability, trust, mutual growth, and deeper emotional intimacy. On an individual level, overcoming this paradox involves intentional efforts toward mindful dating practices, setting clear emotional boundaries, limiting endless browsing, focusing deeply on fewer connections, and embracing the genuine imperfections that define all human relationships. This paradox also invites critical introspection about the role of technology in our emotional lives. While technology promises convenience and unlimited choice, it can also unintentionally erode deeper emotional connections, leaving users feeling isolated amidst superficial interactions. Ultimately, the online dating paradox teaches a powerful lesson about modern life and relationships. More isn't necessarily better. True emotional fulfillment rarely arises from endless possibilities, but instead from conscious choices, meaningful commitment, and genuine connections rooted in authenticity and emotional depth. So, next time you find yourself overwhelmed by endless dating options, pause and reflect on this paradox. Perhaps genuine happiness in relationships isn't found through constant searching, but through careful, intentional selection, depth, and sincere emotional investment. The online dating paradox reminds us that meaningful relationships aren't about unlimited choices. They're about making thoughtful choices. In a world of endless possibility, perhaps the greatest freedom lies not in limitless browsing, but in mindful, purposeful connections. Paradox of popularity. Imagine discovering a hidden gem, a new song, a small cafe, or a niche movie. You cherish it deeply, sharing your excitement with just a few close friends. But suddenly, your hidden gem gains widespread popularity. Everyone seems to know it, talk about it, and adore it. Strangely, your excitement fades, and what once felt special now seems ordinary and uninteresting. Welcome to the paradox of popularity, a curious phenomenon where things become less appealing as they become more popular. At first glance, this seems irrational. Shouldn't widespread appreciation enhance, not diminish, something's appeal? To truly understand this paradox, let's delve deeper into human psychology and the dynamics of popularity. At its core, this paradox highlights the complex relationship between uniqueness, identity, and social validation. When something is unknown or obscure, it often feels uniquely personal. Enjoying lesser-known things provides a sense of identity, individuality, and exclusivity. This emotional connection is reinforced precisely because the object of your appreciation feels special, different, and intimately yours. But as popularity grows, that personal connection diminishes. What once symbolized your unique taste and identity becomes common. You might even feel a sense of loss or disappointment, perceiving that widespread acceptance somehow dilutes its original charm. This paradox is rooted in the psychological concept known as social distinctiveness. Humans naturally strive to differentiate themselves, seeking unique characteristics and preferences to distinguish their identity within social groups. When something beloved becomes mainstream, individuals often subconsciously rebel against this newfound ubiquity, seeking newer, less popular interests. Furthermore, increased popularity can alter perceptions of authenticity. Popularity may attract commercial interests, making beloved products, music, or experiences feel commodified or superficial. Fans often feel alienated, believing the original purity or authenticity has been compromised in pursuit of broader appeal. This paradox also underscores a fascinating contradiction in human desires: the simultaneous craving for both individuality and social acceptance. People desire uniqueness to feel special, yet simultaneously crave validation through shared interests. Popularity threatens this delicate balance, creating internal tension and reducing overall satisfaction. Additionally, the paradox of popularity reveals a bias known as anti-conformity. Once a majority accepts something, individuals may reject it simply to maintain a sense of independence or intellectual superiority. This psychological reaction drives many people toward niche or alternative options, precisely because they offer the social distinction that popularity cannot. Yet, can this paradox be overcome? Perhaps. Recognizing the dynamics behind popularity can help individuals balance their natural desire for uniqueness with their inherent need for connection. Embracing popular things without compromising personal identity or authenticity requires conscious awareness and deliberate self-reflection. On a broader scale, understanding this paradox can significantly influence marketing, branding, and social behavior. Businesses must carefully manage popularity, balancing mainstream appeal with maintaining authenticity to prevent alienating original enthusiasts. On a personal level, navigating this paradox involves reassessing why something appeals to you. Is it due to intrinsic value, personal connection, or merely its rarity? Reconnecting with genuine appreciation beyond external validation can deepen enjoyment regardless of popularity shifts. Moreover, the paradox of popularity invites introspection regarding societal attitudes towards success and popularity. Society often equates popularity with quality, yet paradoxically, true connoisseurs frequently associate authenticity and depth with obscurity or exclusivity. This paradox challenges us to rethink our cultural assumptions about success and worth. Ultimately, the paradox of popularity isn't just about personal preferences. It's about understanding deeper aspects of human nature, identity, and society. It reflects our complicated relationships with uniqueness, conformity, authenticity, and acceptance. So next time you notice your favorite obscure song climbing the charts, or your beloved local cafe becoming crowded, pause and reflect. Is its diminished charm due to genuine loss, or merely a reaction to popularity? Perhaps genuine appreciation and authenticity can coexist alongside popularity. The paradox of popularity reminds us that genuine appreciation isn't defined by exclusivity, but by authentic emotional connections. True satisfaction emerges not from rarity alone, but from meaningful and sincere enjoyment, regardless of how many others share the experience. Menno's paradox. Imagine setting out on a quest for knowledge, determined to learn something entirely new. Yet, suddenly, you pause, puzzled. If you already know what you're searching for, there's no need to seek it out. If you don't know what you're looking for, how can you possibly recognize it once you find it? Welcome to Menno's paradox, an ancient philosophical puzzle first presented by Plato through a conversation between Socrates and Menno. At first glance, this paradox seems perplexing yet trivial. But upon closer examination, it unveils profound insights about knowledge, learning, and the very nature of understanding. Let's carefully dissect this paradox. Meno, puzzled by Socrates' questioning, asks, "How will you look for something when you don't even know what it is?" Socrates elaborates further, clarifying this essential contradiction. You either already know the answer, making inquiry unnecessary, or you do not know it at all, making discovery impossible. The paradox strikes at the heart of learning itself. If all learning requires recognizing something previously unknown, how can you recognize it without prior knowledge? This paradox challenges the fundamental process by which we believe knowledge is acquired. To resolve this paradox, Socrates introduces his theory of recollection, suggesting that humans already possess innate knowledge from past experiences or past lives, and learning is merely the act of recalling what we inherently know. Yet, beyond metaphysical explanations, Meno's paradox still deeply resonates with modern educational and psychological theories. From a cognitive perspective, the paradox highlights the crucial role of curiosity and context in learning. Humans aren't entirely blank slates. We rely heavily on prior experiences, contexts, and intuitive frameworks to guide exploration and learning. Even without explicit prior knowledge, we have underlying structures that help us recognize and categorize new information. Consider language learning. You might not recognize every new word, yet context clues, prior linguistic knowledge, and intuition help you assimilate new vocabulary seamlessly. Similarly, scientists often begin research without exact knowledge of their discoveries, yet possess frameworks enabling them to identify meaningful findings. Thus, the paradox suggests learning isn't just discovering entirely new information, but actively connecting new insights to existing knowledge. True learning involves dynamic interaction between known and unknown, intuition and experience. Moreover, Meno's paradox underscores the importance of questioning and dialogue. Socrates himself advocated relentless questioning to uncover deeper truths. The paradox implies that true knowledge isn't passively received, but actively constructed through inquiry, exploration, and reflection. Yet, the paradox also points toward intellectual humility, acknowledging that knowledge is rarely complete or absolute. It suggests we embrace uncertainty as integral to learning. Recognizing the limits of our knowledge encourages ongoing exploration and deeper understanding. In educational contexts, Meno's paradox provides valuable insight into teaching strategies. Effective learning environments encourage exploration, curiosity, and connections between known and unknown information. Rather than merely providing answers, educators facilitate discovery through thoughtful questioning and structured exploration. Can this paradox be fully resolved? Perhaps not entirely, since it reflects the complex interplay between ignorance and understanding inherent to human cognition. Yet, awareness of this paradox profoundly shapes our approach to knowledge acquisition, highlighting the delicate balance between curiosity and comprehension, inquiry and insight. On a personal level, understanding Meno's paradox can transform your approach to learning. Embrace uncertainty not as a barrier, but as a catalyst for deeper inquiry and growth. Recognize that not fully knowing is not a weakness, but rather the essential starting point for meaningful exploration. Ultimately, Meno's paradox teaches us a profound lesson. Genuine learning isn't merely about obtaining answers. It's about engaging deeply with questions. The paradox reminds us that curiosity, openness, and the courage to confront uncertainty are the true hallmarks of wisdom. So next time you feel stuck, uncertain, or overwhelmed by what you don't yet know, recall Meno's paradox. Embrace the uncertainty as an invitation, not an obstacle. Recognize that the essence of wisdom lies in the continual, humble pursuit of understanding. ever mindful of how much more there is to learn. Paradox of fiction. Imagine you're watching an emotional movie, deeply absorbed as characters experience joy, heartbreak, or tragedy. Your heart races, tears flow, and emotions surge. Yet deep down, you know none of it is real. These characters never existed. These events never actually happened. So how can fictional scenarios evoke such genuine and powerful emotional responses? Welcome to the paradox of fiction, a fascinating philosophical puzzle that questions the nature of our emotional responses to fictional characters and events. At first glance, the paradox seems simple, yet perplexing. How can we sincerely feel strong emotions toward things we consciously know aren't real? To truly appreciate this paradox, we must explore the complexity of human emotions, imagination, and psychological engagement. The paradox arises from three seemingly contradictory statements. We genuinely experience emotions for fictional characters. Emotions typically require belief in reality, yet we clearly recognize fictional characters aren't real. How can these statements coexist without contradiction? Let's delve deeper. Philosophers and psychologists offer several compelling explanations. One significant approach highlights our powerful capacity for empathy and imagination. When engaging with fiction, we suspend disbelief and emotionally immerse ourselves in the narrative. Through empathy, we identify deeply with characters' experiences and emotions, making fictional situations feel profoundly real. Another explanation suggests that emotional responses don't strictly require genuine belief in reality. Rather, emotions depend heavily on cognitive processes such as imagination, perspective-taking, and narrative engagement. Humans naturally respond emotionally to vivid mental images or scenarios, even when fully aware they aren't real. Moreover, fiction often mirrors universal human experiences: love, loss, triumph, and tragedy. Our emotional reactions aren't merely about specific fictional events, but resonate deeply with broader human truths. Thus, fiction becomes a powerful lens through which we understand and process real emotions and experiences. Yet, the paradox also underscores important aspects of emotional and psychological health. Engaging emotionally with fiction can offer therapeutic value, allowing individuals to safely explore complex feelings, confront difficult emotions, and cultivate empathy. Fiction provides a controlled emotional environment where intense feelings can be experienced and processed without real-world consequences. On a psychological level, this paradox highlights the human mind's remarkable capacity for emotional simulation. Emotions triggered by fiction aren't fundamentally different from real-life emotions. They activate the same neural and psychological mechanisms. This explains why fictional characters and narratives can profoundly influence our emotional states, beliefs, and even behaviors. The paradox of fiction also reveals intriguing insights into storytelling itself. Effective storytelling relies on creating believable emotional experiences, engaging audiences deeply through relatable characters, compelling narratives, and emotional authenticity. Great fiction captures universal emotional truths, resonating profoundly despite, or perhaps because of, their fictional nature. Yet, does fully understanding this paradox diminish fiction's emotional impact? Quite the contrary. Recognizing the paradox enhances appreciation for the power and purpose of storytelling. Knowing we respond emotionally to fictional scenarios underscores the incredible sophistication of human imagination, empathy, and emotional intelligence. This paradox invites introspection about the broader role of fiction in human life. Fiction isn't merely entertainment, it's a vital tool for emotional growth, moral understanding, and social bonding. Shared fictional experiences build communities, strengthen empathy, and enhance mutual understanding across cultures and generations. Can this paradox be entirely resolved? Perhaps not fully, because it reflects the intricate interplay between imagination, emotion, and cognitive awareness. Yet, awareness of this paradox can profoundly enhance our appreciation of storytelling, emotional expression, and human psychology. On a personal level, understanding the paradox of fiction enriches your relationship with stories, encouraging deeper emotional engagement, introspection, and empathy. It reveals how fiction profoundly shapes personal identities, values, and emotional landscapes. Ultimately, the paradox of fiction teaches a compelling lesson. The emotions evoked by fictional scenarios aren't any less genuine or meaningful because the events aren't real. On the contrary, fiction offers uniquely powerful emotional experiences precisely because it transcends reality, allowing us to safely explore the full depth and range of human emotion. So, next time you find yourself deeply moved by fictional characters or scenarios, embrace the paradox. Appreciate the profound emotional power of imagination, empathy, and storytelling. After all, the ability to deeply feel for what we know is not real might just be one of the most beautiful and uniquely human traits we possess. Birthday paradox. Imagine attending a party with just 23 people. Someone playfully suggests a wager. I bet at least 2 people here share the same birthday. At first, the bet seems absurd. After all, with 365 days in a year, surely 23 individuals aren't enough for this coincidence. Yet, astonishingly, the odds are in favor of at least 2 guests sharing a birthday. Welcome to the birthday paradox, a fascinating statistical puzzle that reveals surprising truths about probability and human intuition. At first glance, it defies common sense. How can such a small group of people have a greater than even chance of sharing birthdays? To unravel this paradox, let's carefully examine the underlying mathematics and the fascinating implications it holds. At its core, the birthday paradox isn't truly a paradox, but rather a profound misunderstanding of probabilities and how quickly coincidences accumulate. The paradox occurs because people intuitively think about their individual probability of matching birthdays with someone else, not the collective probability across an entire group. The correct calculation considers the chances that every possible pair of people in the room might share a birthday. With just 23 people, there are 253 potential pairs, dramatically increasing the likelihood of a match. Mathematically, the probability of at least 2 people sharing a birthday reaches about 50.7% with 23 individuals and rises steeply as the group size grows. At 30 people, the chance surpasses 70%, and at just 57 people, it's greater than 99%. This rapid increase in probability illustrates how our intuitive sense of randomness can be vastly mistaken. Yet, beyond mathematics, this paradox reveals fascinating insights into human cognition and intuition. People naturally underestimate the frequency and likelihood of coincidences. Our brains often interpret coincidences as remarkable or improbable. Yet mathematically, coincidences are much more common than we realize. This cognitive bias, known as the clustering illusion, describes our tendency to perceive patterns or meaningful connections in random events. The birthday paradox vividly demonstrates this illusion. Our brains find matching birthdays astonishing, even though, statistically, such occurrences are surprisingly ordinary. Moreover, the paradox highlights important truths about randomness and probability in everyday life. Coincidences, while remarkable to our perception, frequently occur simply because there are countless opportunities for them to happen. Life is filled with numerous interactions, events, and possibilities, making unexpected connections inevitable, not miraculous. Understanding the birthday paradox also provides critical insights into fields such as cryptography, security, and data science. In cybersecurity, the paradox illustrates potential vulnerabilities in systems relying on randomization, reminding us how quickly probabilities escalate, even with seemingly large sample spaces. Can this paradox help us better understand real-world scenarios? Absolutely. For example, think of lotteries, health diagnoses, or chance encounters. Recognizing the statistical realities highlighted by the birthday paradox helps individuals and organizations make better informed decisions by accounting for probability biases and misconceptions. On a psychological level, the paradox encourages humility and awareness in interpreting coincidences. Rather than perceiving coincidences as extraordinary or fate-driven events, recognizing their statistical nature allows us to approach them rationally, reducing superstitious or overly emotional responses. Yet, despite its clear mathematical explanation, the paradox remains captivating precisely because it contradicts intuitive logic. This tension between intuition and mathematical reality makes the birthday paradox a powerful educational tool, demonstrating the importance of analytical thinking over intuitive assumptions. Ultimately, the birthday paradox teaches a valuable lesson. Our intuitions about probability and randomness are often deeply flawed. Appreciating this paradox fosters a greater understanding of mathematics, probability theory, and human cognition, essential skills for navigating the complexities of modern life. Next time you're at a party, classroom, or gathering, remember this intriguing paradox. Share it, test it, and observe how quickly the improbable becomes probable. Embrace the fascinating intersection of intuition, probability, and reality revealed by this captivating statistical puzzle. The birthday paradox reminds us that the world is far more interconnected and coincidences far more common than our intuitions suggest. Perhaps, by appreciating the genuine frequency of seemingly rare events, we can better understand the world around us, embracing life's many surprises with curiosity and clarity. Paradox of the Poisoned Cup. Imagine two cunning adversaries sitting across from each other, each holding a cup, one containing deadly poison, the other harmless wine. Both desperately trying to outsmart the other, carefully analyzing and reanalyzing every subtle expression, gesture, and statement. Each thinks, would my opponent place the poison in front of himself or in front of me? Or is this exactly what he expects me to think? Welcome to the Paradox of the Poisoned Cup, an intriguing logical puzzle that vividly illustrates the paradoxical nature of second-guessing, infinite regress, and strategic decision-making. At first glance, this paradox seems merely a dramatic puzzle from classic literature or cinema. Yet beneath its surface lie fascinating insights into logic, game theory, and human psychology. To fully appreciate this paradox, consider the scene made famous by the film and novel The Princess Bride, where characters engage in a mind-boggling intellectual duel of wits. Each attempts to anticipate and counter the other's thinking, creating an endless spiral of logical analysis. This perfectly captures the essence of the poisoned cup paradox. At its heart, the paradox emerges from recursive logic. Each player's decision relies entirely on anticipating the other's reasoning, creating a seemingly endless chain of strategic thinking. If he thinks I'll poison his cup, he'll switch. But knowing he'll switch, I'll poison mine. But he'll anticipate that too. This infinite regress leads to a logical stalemate, highlighting a critical limitation in strategic decision-making. Attempting to anticipate another's thinking can quickly escalate into self-defeating complexity. Each additional layer of reasoning makes the puzzle increasingly convoluted rather than clearer. Moreover, The poisoned cup paradox vividly illustrates key principles in game theory, the mathematical study of decision-making in competitive scenarios. It exemplifies the common knowledge problem where each participant knows that the other is rational, and each knows that the other knows this, endlessly compounding complexity and strategic uncertainty. In practical terms, this paradox reflects real-world scenarios such as negotiations, strategic planning, or diplomatic engagements. Decision-makers often become paralyzed by overanalysis, trapped in circular logic and overly cautious strategizing, which can hinder decisive and clear-headed action. Psychologically, the paradox underscores the limitations of attempting perfect prediction and control over another person's thoughts and actions. Human behavior is inherently unpredictable, influenced by emotions, biases, and irrational impulses that defy purely logical calculation. Attempting to fully anticipate another person's reasoning can therefore be futile and counterproductive. Yet, can the paradox be resolved practically? Game theory suggests mixed strategies, a method where players randomize their choices, deliberately making their actions unpredictable. This unpredictability neutralizes recursive logic, preventing opponents from effectively countering each move. Randomization introduces a powerful strategic element that breaks the paralysis of infinite regress. Furthermore, awareness of the paradox encourages humility and adaptability in strategic thinking. Rather than futilely attempting to outguess opponents at every level, effective decision-making involves accepting inherent uncertainty, maintaining flexibility, and focusing on adaptable strategies rather than rigid prediction. On a broader philosophical level, the poisoned cup paradox challenges assumptions about rationality and predictability. It demonstrates the inherent limitations of logic and rational thought in fully controlling or predicting human behavior, reminding us that humans aren't purely rational actors, but complex, emotional beings influenced by many unpredictable factors. Moreover, the paradox invites introspection about our own tendencies toward overanalysis or overthinking in daily decisions. How often do we find ourselves trapped in endless what-if scenarios, hesitant to act because we're endlessly anticipating every possible outcome? The paradox reminds us that while careful consideration is valuable, excessive analysis can be paralyzing and counterproductive. Ultimately, the poisoned cup paradox provides powerful insights into decision-making, strategy, and human cognition. It teaches us that sometimes optimal strategies involve embracing uncertainty, randomness, and adaptability rather than seeking absolute control or certainty. Next time you face a difficult decision or find yourself spiraling into recursive thinking, recall the poisoned cup paradox. Remember the futility of infinite second-guessing. Embrace a balanced approach to uncertainty and act decisively without becoming trapped in endless logical loops. After all, true wisdom often involves knowing when to stop analyzing and start acting. Understanding that sometimes the best strategy is simply to raise your cup and trust your instincts. The catastrophe paradox. Imagine you're warned of a potential catastrophic event, an earthquake, pandemic, or financial collapse. You understand the threat clearly, yet paradoxically, instead of feeling compelled to immediate action, you hesitate, procrastinate, or even disregard the risk altogether. Why do humans often remain passive, apathetic, or immobilized in the face of potentially devastating events? Welcome to the catastrophe paradox, a perplexing psychological and behavioral puzzle that examines why individuals and societies frequently fail to adequately respond to catastrophic threats, despite fully understanding their seriousness and consequences. To unravel this paradox, we must delve deeply into human psychology, risk perception, and behavioral economics. At its core, The paradox arises from the mismatch between intellectual understanding and emotional response. Humans cognitively recognize catastrophic risks, yet emotionally struggle to grasp their urgency. The paradox highlights an essential cognitive bias known as normalcy bias, where people underestimate both the likelihood and severity of disasters, believing life will continue as usual. This psychological coping mechanism helps maintain emotional equilibrium, but dangerously impedes rational responses to genuine threats. Additionally, the catastrophe paradox relates closely to psychic numbing, a phenomenon described by psychologists where people emotionally disengage from overwhelming problems. As catastrophic events become too large, abstract, or distant, empathy and urgency diminish, reducing motivation to act. Consider climate change. Despite overwhelming scientific consensus, many individuals and governments continue delaying meaningful actions. The enormity, complexity, and abstractness of the threat hinder emotional engagement, leading to inertia and inadequate responses. This vividly illustrates the paradoxical human response to clear yet overwhelming threats. Furthermore, the paradox underscores hyperbolic discounting, a behavioral economic concept explaining humans' strong preference for immediate benefits over future rewards or consequences. Catastrophic threats, typically distant in time or uncertain in detail, fail to compete emotionally against immediate, tangible concerns, reducing urgency and motivation. The paradox also arises from collective responsibility dilemmas, such as the tragedy of the commons, where individuals perceive personal actions as insignificant compared to collective impact. Each individual may rationalize inaction, believing personal efforts meaningless without broader collective cooperation, thus perpetuating collective inertia. Yet, can we overcome this paradox? Yes, but it requires deliberate psychological, cultural, and institutional interventions. Recognizing the psychological roots of catastrophe inertia, normalcy bias, psychic numbing, and hyperbolic discounting is the first critical step toward breaking the paradox. Effective solutions involve emotionally engaging storytelling, vivid and relatable scenarios, and clear, actionable steps to mitigate threats. Making abstract threats emotionally concrete helps bridge the gap between intellectual understanding and emotional motivation, driving meaningful actions and responses. On an institutional level, policies and strategies must account for human psychological biases. Framing risks clearly, emphasizing immediate benefits of action, and establishing achievable incremental goals can significantly enhance responsiveness. These approaches counteract apathy by offering tangible incentives, immediate benefits, and manageable solutions. Moreover, awareness of the catastrophe paradox fosters crucial introspection about personal responsibility and collective action. Individuals can consciously challenge cognitive biases by reminding themselves of the real-world consequences of catastrophic events, fostering empathy and maintaining emotional engagement with serious issues. Ultimately, the catastrophe paradox teaches valuable lessons about human behavior, risk perception, and societal decision-making. Recognizing and addressing this paradox significantly enhances our ability to respond effectively to threats, protecting ourselves, communities, and the future. So next time you hear warnings of potential catastrophe, pause and consciously reflect on your psychological reactions. Are you dismissing urgency due to normalcy bias or psychic numbing? Could you overcome inertia through emotional engagement, vivid imagination, or incremental action? Understanding the catastrophe paradox empowers us to confront threats proactively rather than reactively, breaking the psychological barriers that hinder effective responses. After all, acknowledging our psychological vulnerabilities is the first critical step toward meaningful preparedness and resilience. The centipede's dilemma. Imagine a centipede gracefully scuttling along, each of its many legs moving in perfect harmony without thought or hesitation. Now imagine someone asking the centipede, "How do you coordinate all those legs at once?" Suddenly, the centipede freezes, baffled by the question, unable to move at all. Welcome to the centipede's dilemma, an intriguing psychological paradox illustrating how excessive introspection and conscious thought can interfere dramatically with natural performance and effortless action. At first glance, the paradox seems humorous or trivial, a centipede rendered immobile simply by pondering its own movements. Yet, beneath its whimsical surface lies a profound insight into human psychology, motor skills, and the balance between conscious thought and intuitive action. The paradox vividly captures the phenomenon psychologists call analysis paralysis. Overthinking simple or habitual actions often disrupts our natural flow, causing hesitation, confusion, and impaired performance. Tasks we typically perform automatically and efficiently become clumsy and difficult when subjected to excessive conscious analysis. Consider everyday examples. A pianist suddenly thinking about finger placement during a concert, a speaker becoming self-conscious of every word during a speech, or an athlete fixating on the mechanics of their swing mid-game. In each case, the intrusion of excessive conscious thought impairs natural performance, mirroring the centipede's paralysis. From a cognitive perspective, the paradox underscores the distinction between implicit and explicit knowledge. Implicit knowledge, skills and actions performed effortlessly and unconsciously, is disrupted when transformed into explicit knowledge through deliberate introspection. Conscious thought interferes with automated processes honed by practice and repetition, resulting in performance deterioration. The paradox also highlights an important psychological phenomenon called choking under pressure. When attention shifts excessively inward, attempting to consciously control automatic processes, performance suffers dramatically. Stressful situations exacerbate this issue, intensifying self-consciousness and impairing intuitive action. Interestingly, research suggests optimal performance in skilled activities typically occurs in states of flow, characterized by effortless involvement and minimal conscious thought. The centipede's dilemma illustrates precisely why overly conscious effort disrupts flow states, diminishing performance quality. Moreover, the paradox provides valuable insights into effective learning and coaching strategies. Excessive instruction, detailed feedback, or analytical breakdowns of simple tasks can hinder rather than help skill development. Effective coaching balances conscious guidance with opportunities for natural exploration and automatic skill acquisition. Yet, can we overcome the centipede's dilemma? Indeed, by cultivating mindful awareness rather than excessive self-consciousness. Mindfulness involves gently directing attention to the present moment without judgment or excessive analysis, facilitating optimal performance without disrupting intuitive skill execution. Additionally, awareness of this paradox encourages individuals to trust their natural abilities, allowing habitual actions to unfold naturally without excessive interference. Recognizing when introspection becomes counterproductive empowers individuals to consciously relax their attention, restoring fluid, effortless performance. On a philosophical level, the paradox challenges assumptions about conscious control and the limits of analytical thought. It suggests genuine mastery involves a balance between conscious knowledge and intuitive understanding, an interplay between explicit and implicit cognition. Ultimately, the centipede's dilemma teaches valuable lessons about the balance between analysis and intuition, thought and action. Excessive introspection, though valuable in moderation, can profoundly disrupt performance, revealing critical insights into how humans learn, perform, and achieve mastery. So next time you find yourself paralyzed by overthinking, recall the centipede and its dilemma. Remind yourself to trust your intuition, allowing your practice skills and habits to guide you naturally, free from excessive conscious interference. After all, true mastery isn't achieved through obsessive analysis, but by gracefully balancing conscious understanding with intuitive execution, embracing the harmonious dance between thought and action. The liar paradox. Imagine someone tells you, "This statement I'm making right now is false." Immediately, your mind stumbles into a logical trap. If the statement is true, then it must indeed be false. But if it's false, then it's telling the truth. This cyclical reasoning creates an endless logical loop, seemingly impossible to resolve. Welcome to the liar paradox, a classic and intriguing puzzle that has captivated philosophers, logicians, and thinkers for centuries. At its core, this paradox exposes fundamental challenges regarding truth, logic, and language, forcing us to question basic assumptions about how we understand and communicate reality. Let's carefully dissect the paradox to uncover the profound logical puzzle it presents. The paradox arises from a single self-referential statement. This statement is false. If taken as true, the statement logically contradicts itself by declaring itself false. Conversely, if taken as false, it paradoxically affirms its truthfulness. This paradox illustrates the challenge of self-reference. Statements referring directly to themselves often generate logical contradictions or paradoxes. Self-referential statements undermine clear categorization as true or false because their meaning inherently loops back onto themselves, creating logical ambiguity. Historically, the liar paradox has deep philosophical roots dating back to ancient Greece, attributed initially to the philosopher Epimenides. Philosophers and logicians have extensively explored the paradox, debating its implications for logic, truth, and language systems. One significant implication is its challenge to classical logic, which traditionally assumes every meaningful statement is either true or false, known as the principle of bivalence. The liar paradox demonstrates scenarios where this binary logic breaks down, demanding more nuanced or complex frameworks for understanding truth. Various approaches attempt to resolve or mitigate the paradox. One approach suggests rejecting self-reference entirely, avoiding statements directly referencing themselves. Another approach involves adopting multi-valued logics or fuzzy logics, allowing statements to hold values beyond strictly true or false. Yet, no universally accepted resolution exists. Instead, the paradox remains fundamentally unresolved, continually challenging logicians and philosophers to refine theories of truth, meaning, and logical coherence. The paradox serves as a persistent reminder of the complexity and limitations inherent to human language and logic systems. Psychologically, the paradox also reveals fascinating insights into cognitive processing and language comprehension. It demonstrates the human mind's sensitivity to logical consistency and contradiction, often producing cognitive discomfort or confusion when faced with paradoxical statements. Moreover, the paradox highlights critical distinctions between linguistic structures and real-world truth. While language can easily create paradoxical statements through self-reference or circular definitions, real-world truths rarely involve such self-contained logical loops. On a broader philosophical level, the liar paradox challenges our assumptions about objective reality and absolute truth. If language can construct logically contradictory statements, does this reflect inherent limitations in our cognitive and linguistic frameworks? Or does it suggest deeper truths about reality itself? Recognizing and reflecting on the paradox encourages philosophical humility, an acknowledgement that absolute certainty and logical coherence can sometimes elude even our best attempts at understanding. It invites openness to alternative logical systems, interpretations, and frameworks for approaching complex truths. Ultimately, the liar paradox serves as a powerful metaphor for the complexities and limitations of human cognition, logic, and language. It challenges simplistic notions of truth and falsehood, forcing deeper reflection on how we conceptualize and communicate meaning. Next time you encounter logical contradictions or paradoxical statements, recall the liar paradox. Recognize that some truths defy simple categorization, existing within nuanced spaces between certainty and ambiguity. Embracing the lessons of the liar paradox encourages intellectual humility, curiosity, and an openness to exploring the deeper complexities of truth, language, and logic. After all, the true value of paradoxes lies not in solving them entirely, but in allowing them to deepen our understanding and broaden our perspective. Newcomb's paradox. Imagine you're facing a mysterious and powerful predictor who has never been wrong. Before you are two boxes. Box A, transparent, visibly containing $1,000, and Box B, opaque, its contents unknown. You're given a choice, either take only Box B or take both boxes. The catch? The predictor has already made a prediction. If they predicted you'd take only Box B, they've placed $1 million inside it. If they predicted you'd take both, they've left Box B empty. Welcome to Newcomb's paradox, a fascinating thought experiment that profoundly challenges our ideas about free will, rational decision-making, and predictive certainty. At first glance, the choice seems straightforward, but upon closer inspection, it quickly becomes deeply perplexing. Let's carefully explore why this scenario is so paradoxical. From one perspective, choosing both boxes seems rational. Regardless of the predictor's decision, taking both boxes guarantees you at least $1,000 more than taking only Box B. This logic is compelling because your choice occurs after the predictor has placed the money, seemingly rendering their prediction irrelevant. Yet, from another equally compelling perspective, the predictor's perfect accuracy implies a paradoxical incentive. Taking only Box B ensures you'll almost certainly find $1 million inside. Historical evidence and perfect predictive accuracy overwhelmingly suggest that those who trust the predictor and take just Box B become significantly wealthier. This paradox vividly illustrates a tension between two rational principles: dominance, maximizing immediate payoff, and expected utility, maximizing overall predicted outcome. Each principle leads to a logically defensible but contradictory decision, creating an intense philosophical conflict. Newcomb's paradox raises profound questions about free will, causality, and determinism. If a predictor can perfectly foresee your choices, are your decisions genuinely free? Does the existence of perfect prediction invalidate personal agency or simply reflect your own predictable rationality? Philosophers and decision theorists have intensely debated solutions to this paradox. One-boxers, who choose only Box B, trust the predictor's foresight and focus on maximizing expected utility. They embrace the paradox as evidence that rationality sometimes requires cooperating with predictive outcomes. Conversely, two-boxers, who choose both boxes, emphasize dominance and immediate certainty, insisting their decisions cannot retroactively influence the predictor's past actions. They argue rational decisions must focus solely on actual control, rejecting any illusion of influencing past outcomes. Interestingly, Newcomb's paradox connects closely with real-world decision-making, especially in fields like economics, psychology, and artificial intelligence. It reveals the complexities inherent to prediction-based choices, highlighting situations where rational strategies paradoxically conflict. Psychologically, the paradox illustrates human struggles with uncertainty, prediction, and control. People are naturally inclined toward immediate, guaranteed rewards, yet paradoxically, sometimes trusting uncertain predictions yields greater long-term benefits. Moreover, the paradox deeply resonates with concepts of trust and cooperation in social and economic interactions. Trusting predictions, be it economic forecasts, interpersonal relationships, or societal trends, often requires surrendering immediate certainty for greater potential gains, echoing the one-boxer strategy. Yet, can Newcomb's paradox be definitively resolved? Likely not entirely, as it fundamentally explores subjective interpretations of rationality, causality, and prediction. Its enduring value lies precisely in its unresolved complexity, forcing us to confront and reconsider foundational assumptions about rational decision-making. Ultimately, Newcomb's paradox provides powerful insights into human cognition, rationality, and decision theory. It challenges simplistic notions of rational choice, illustrating how predictive certainty and free will interact in deeply counterintuitive ways. Next time you're faced with difficult decisions involving uncertain predictions, recall Newcomb's paradox. Reflect on the tension between immediate certainty and long-term expectation, dominance versus cooperation, and control versus trust. Embracing the lessons of this paradox enriches our understanding of choice, rationality, and human behavior. After all, perhaps genuine wisdom involves recognizing when the seemingly irrational choice is paradoxically the most rational of all. The abundance paradox. Imagine living in an era characterized by unprecedented abundance. Food, information, entertainment, and opportunities available at your fingertips. Society has never experienced such widespread wealth and convenience. Yet, paradoxically, amidst this plenty, people often feel dissatisfied, anxious, and overwhelmed rather than fulfilled and content. Welcome to the abundance paradox, a compelling psychological and social phenomenon highlighting the counterintuitive relationship between abundance and human happiness. At first glance, it seems logical that more abundance would lead directly to greater satisfaction. Yet reality frequently reveals the opposite. To fully grasp this paradox, we must delve into psychological concepts like the hedonic treadmill, decision fatigue, and the paradox of choice. These concepts explain how excessive abundance and choice can paradoxically undermine satisfaction and increase psychological distress. Consider the hedonic treadmill, a psychological phenomenon where people quickly adapt to increased wealth, comfort, or luxury. After initial excitement, happiness returns to baseline levels, and individuals continually seek greater abundance to recapture fleeting satisfaction. Ironically, this adaptation drives dissatisfaction despite rising prosperity. Moreover, the paradox of choice suggests too many options can reduce satisfaction and increase anxiety. Abundant choices, whether products, career paths, or relationships, often overwhelm individuals, creating constant doubt and fear of missing better alternatives. Rather than enhancing happiness, limitless possibilities frequently induce paralysis, dissatisfaction, and regret. Decision fatigue further amplifies this paradox. Constant decision-making required by abundance and endless choices exhausts mental resources, impairing judgment, increasing stress, and diminishing satisfaction. The psychological burden of managing abundance often outweighs its apparent benefits. Societally, the abundance paradox manifests vividly in affluent cultures facing rising mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and chronic dissatisfaction. Despite greater material wealth, modern societies often experience diminished psychological well-being and social connection. This paradox underscores critical insights about human psychology and societal values. Humans fundamentally desire meaning, purpose, and deep relationships, not merely abundance or material wealth. Excessive abundance frequently distracts individuals from these deeper emotional and psychological needs, fostering superficiality rather than genuine fulfillment. Additionally, the paradox highlights the diminishing returns of economic prosperity and consumption-driven happiness. Initial increases in wealth provide substantial happiness boosts, but beyond a certain threshold, additional abundance contributes little to well-being and can even diminish overall satisfaction. Yet, can we address and overcome this paradox? Yes, but only through deliberate, mindful approaches to abundance, consumption, and life choice. Cultivating gratitude, practicing simplicity, and consciously limiting choices can significantly enhance satisfaction and emotional well-being. Effective strategies involve adopting minimalist lifestyles, emphasizing quality over quantity, and consciously investing time and resources into meaningful relationships, experiences, and personal growth rather than material accumulation. Institutionally, policies promoting balanced lifestyles, sustainable consumption, and mental health awareness help mitigate the paradox's negative impacts. Encouraging community connections, mindfulness, and sustainable living practices fosters genuine well-being beyond mere material abundance. Ultimately, the abundance paradox challenges conventional wisdom regarding happiness, prosperity, and fulfillment. Recognizing the psychological pitfalls of abundance empowers individuals and societies to seek deeper, more authentic sources of happiness and satisfaction. Next time you feel overwhelmed or dissatisfied despite material prosperity, pause and reflect on the abundance paradox. Ask yourself, am I truly fulfilled or merely chasing fleeting satisfaction through endless abundance and consumption? Embracing the lessons of the abundance paradox encourages intentional, mindful living, focusing not merely on more, but better. After all, true happiness rarely lies in infinite abundance, but in conscious, meaningful choices that nurture genuine emotional and psychological well-being. The page number paradox. Imagine opening a book, ready to dive into its pages, only to pause at an intriguing realization. The first page of most books isn't labeled as page 1. In fact, the first page often has no number at all. The numbering typically starts several pages into the book, after titles, dedications, prefaces, and introductions. Why then do we call the first numbered page page 1 when it's clearly not the book's actual first page? Welcome to the page number paradox, a deceptively simple yet oddly puzzling phenomenon that reveals intriguing insights into perception, convention, and the subtle complexities of how we structure information. At first glance, this paradox seems trivial, perhaps even whimsical. Yet beneath its surface lies a deeper exploration of cognitive assumptions, conventions, and how human brains process structure and meaning. The paradox challenges our intuitive notion of order, hierarchy, and the seemingly straightforward act of numbering. To understand the paradox, consider that numbering in books generally represents narrative or primary content rather than physical sequence. Front matter, introductions, prefaces, acknowledgments, is typically perceived as peripheral or supplementary, leading publishers and readers to treat these initial sections as preliminary rather than integral. Yet, this conventional approach creates a subtle contradiction. Page 1 does not genuinely represent the physical first page, but rather signifies the narrative's start. This reveals a fundamental tension between physical structure and conceptual organization, between literal sequencing and symbolic significance. The paradox also highlights broader human cognitive tendencies regarding categorization and significance. Humans instinctively categorize information based on importance, narrative relevance, or functional priority rather than strictly sequential logic. Numbering primary content as page 1 reflects cognitive biases prioritizing narrative structure over literal placement. Moreover, the paradox underscores the role of convention in human systems. Cultural, historical, and industry-specific practices shape conventions, often invisibly guiding expectations and assumptions. The page number paradox reveals how deeply entrenched conventions subtly shape even mundane activities, like reading and numbering. Interestingly, this paradox extends beyond books. Consider digital documents, websites, or academic papers. Introductory sections, abstracts, or summaries frequently lack explicit numbering or adopt separate numeral systems, like Roman numerals, reinforcing the same paradoxical distinction between preliminary and primary content. Can the page number paradox be resolved, or is it inherently part of human cognitive and structural practices? While not requiring explicit resolution, recognizing this paradox fosters greater awareness and critical thinking about the subtle structures influencing information organization and consumption. Practically, awareness of this paradox encourages designers, publishers, and communicators to consciously reflect on structural conventions. Are numbering systems intuitively clear? Do structures effectively align with user expectations, or do subtle contradictions unnecessarily complicate interpretation? Moreover, this paradox invites personal reflection about how we perceive and categorize information. Do we instinctively accept conventional structures without question, or do we actively analyze and question the logic underlying such conventions? Ultimately, the page number paradox, while simple and humorous on the surface, holds valuable lessons about human perception, cognitive categorization, and the power of conventions. It illustrates how easily our intuitive understanding of order and sequence can diverge from literal reality, influencing our interpretation and understanding of information. Next time you open a book, pause and notice this subtle paradox. Reflect on the deeper cognitive and cultural implications of such simple conventions. Perhaps genuine wisdom involves recognizing these small contradictions and appreciating how deeply human cognition shapes our understanding of the world around us. After all, acknowledging the page number paradox encourages curiosity, critical reflection, and a deeper appreciation of the subtle complexities underlying even the simplest human conventions. Paradox of the comedian. Imagine sitting in an audience laughing uncontrollably as a comedian delivers joke after joke. The room fills with joy, amusement, and carefree laughter. Yet, paradoxically, behind the scenes, many comedians experience deep personal struggles. Sadness, anxiety, and depression often hidden beneath their hilarious facade. How can individuals who bring such joy to others frequently struggle to find happiness themselves? Welcome to the paradox of the comedian, a compelling and poignant phenomenon highlighting the complex emotional landscape of humor, creativity, and human psychology. At first glance, it seems contradictory. Why do people who specialize in making others laugh often grapple with intense sadness? To fully understand this paradox, we must delve deeply into the psychology of humor, creativity, and emotional expression. Humor, at its core, frequently serves as a coping mechanism, a way to process, deflect, or transform personal pain into laughter. Comedians often draw upon their deepest vulnerabilities, traumas, and struggles as raw material for comedy. Yet, this emotional alchemy comes with psychological risks. The very act of mining personal pain for public laughter can deepen internal struggles. Constantly reframing suffering into comedic narratives might provide temporary relief, but rarely addresses underlying emotional wounds. This cycle can exacerbate feelings of isolation and emotional disconnection. Additionally, comedians frequently possess heightened sensitivity, emotional depth, and keen observational skills, traits beneficial for humor, but potentially increasing vulnerability to depression and anxiety. The emotional sensitivity enabling sharp comedic insights also makes comedians acutely aware of life's darker, more painful aspects. Moreover, the paradox reveals societal misconceptions about happiness and emotional health. Society often equates outward success, laughter, and popularity with genuine happiness, yet internal realities frequently differ dramatically. The external persona of a comedian, happy, carefree, humorous, can mask deep emotional distress, perpetuating misunderstandings about emotional wellness. Historically, numerous beloved comedians have openly discussed their emotional struggles, from Robin Williams and Jim Carrey to Stephen Fry and Sarah Silverman. Their stories vividly illustrate this paradox, highlighting the dissonance between public comedic personas and private emotional realities. Yet, the paradox of the comedian isn't merely tragic. It also offers profound insights into creativity and resilience. Humor can provide powerful emotional resilience, allowing individuals to face life's adversities with courage, perspective, and emotional depth. The ability to transform pain into laughter represents immense psychological strength, resilience, and emotional intelligence. Recognizing this paradox fosters greater empathy, compassion, and understanding of the emotional complexities behind comedic creativity. It challenges simplistic assumptions about emotional wellness, encouraging deeper awareness of mental health struggles that often accompany creative brilliance. Institutionally, acknowledging this paradox can inform better support structures for creative individuals, providing psychological resources, fostering open dialogues about mental health, and promoting healthier emotional expression. Understanding the complex emotional dynamics behind comedy helps foster supportive environments that prioritize genuine emotional well-being. On a personal level, awareness of this paradox encourages audiences to appreciate comedy more deeply, recognizing the emotional depth and vulnerability often underpinning humor. It invites audiences to cultivate greater empathy, understanding, and appreciation for the emotional sacrifices comedians frequently make to entertain and uplift others. Ultimately, the paradox of the comedian teaches powerful lessons about emotional authenticity, creativity, and the complexity of human psychology. It reminds us that humor and laughter often emerge not from happiness alone, but from deep emotional insight, resilience, and the transformative power of creative expression. Next time you enjoy a comedian's performance, pause and reflect on the emotional depth underlying their humor. Consider the emotional courage required to transform personal pain into collective laughter, and cultivate deeper gratitude, compassion, and appreciation for this remarkable creative gift. Embracing the lessons of the paradox of the comedian enriches our emotional understanding, fostering empathy, awareness, and deeper human connections. After all, true humor isn't merely entertainment. It's profound emotional alchemy, transforming darkness into joy through vulnerability, insight, and creativity. The gossip paradox. Imagine overhearing a juicy piece of gossip, a secret whispered discreetly among friends or colleagues. Instinctively, you might assume gossip is harmful, spreading negativity, undermining trust, and weakening social bonds. Yet, paradoxically, gossip often strengthens relationships, builds trust, and reinforces group cohesion. How can something seemingly destructive simultaneously serve such beneficial social functions. Welcome to the gossip paradox, a fascinating social and psychological phenomenon challenging our intuitive views on gossip. At first glance, gossip appears inherently negative, driven by malice, jealousy, or petty rivalries. Yet, upon closer examination, gossip reveals surprisingly positive and essential roles within social structures. Let's delve deeper to understand this paradox. Gossip, fundamentally, involves sharing personal or private information about someone who is not present. While often negatively portrayed, gossip can serve critical social purposes, including building alliances, establishing social norms, and reinforcing group identity. Research in social psychology and anthropology highlights gossip's role in social bonding and trust building. Sharing information about others helps individuals establish intimacy, signaling trust by demonstrating shared knowledge or exclusive insights. This mutual exchange of gossip strengthens interpersonal connections, fostering social cohesion and mutual reliance. Moreover, gossip serves as a powerful mechanism for social regulation and norm enforcement. Communities rely on gossip to communicate acceptable behaviors, warn against harmful individuals, and maintain social order. Gossip, paradoxically, helps establish and reinforce shared values and moral expectations within groups. Interestingly, gossip also functions as a social currency, enabling individuals to gain status or influence within groups. People strategically use gossip to build alliances, establish social credibility, and navigate complex social hierarchies. Far from purely malicious, gossip often reflects sophisticated social strategies aimed at enhancing personal and group welfare. Yet this paradox also highlights the critical balance required for gossip to positively influence social dynamics. When gossip becomes excessively malicious, inaccurate, or harmful, it undermines trust and cohesion rather than enhancing them. Thus, the paradox underscores the nuanced nature of gossip. Its positive functions depend heavily on intent, accuracy, and context. Furthermore, the gossip paradox emphasizes the complexity of human social interactions and the role of indirect communication. Direct confrontation or criticism often disrupts social harmony, whereas gossip provides a subtle, indirect means of addressing social issues, resolving conflicts, or navigating sensitive social dynamics. Yet, can gossip's paradoxical benefits outweigh its potential harm? The answer lies in conscious awareness and responsible gossiping. Recognizing gossip's potential for both constructive and destructive outcomes helps individuals engage more responsibly, leveraging gossip to enhance social bonds without causing unnecessary harm. Practically, this paradox encourages thoughtful reflection about one's gossip habits. Before sharing information, individuals should consider intent, accuracy, and potential impact. Responsible gossip focuses on truthful, constructive information aimed at fostering trust, reinforcing positive social norms, and enhancing group cohesion. Moreover, institutional or cultural norms play a vital role in regulating gossip's impact. Encouraging transparency, respectful communication, and empathetic understanding can mitigate gossip's negative potential while maximizing its social benefits. On a broader societal level, understanding the gossip paradox offers insights into managing social dynamics, organizational culture, and community cohesion. Institutions that leverage responsible gossip to reinforce norms, address problems, and foster trust can significantly enhance overall social and organizational health. Ultimately, the gossip paradox teaches valuable lessons about human social behavior, trust, and communication. It reveals that seemingly negative social behaviors often serve hidden, positive functions essential for maintaining group harmony, trust, and cohesion. Next time you encounter gossip, Pause to reflect on this paradox. Is the gossip constructive or destructive? Is it reinforcing social bonds or undermining them? By consciously understanding and responsibly engaging with gossip, individuals and communities can harness its paradoxical power to enhance social harmony and trust. After all, acknowledging the gossip paradox enriches our understanding of social interactions, enabling us to navigate complex human relationships with greater empathy, awareness, and intentionality. The salad paradox. Imagine preparing a fresh salad at home, carefully selecting crisp lettuce, ripe tomatoes, flavorful dressings, and perfect toppings. Despite your best efforts, it never quite tastes as delicious as the simple salad served at your favorite restaurant or made by someone else. Why does food often seem to taste better when prepared by others, even if you use the same ingredients? Welcome to the salad paradox, a curious culinary phenomenon highlighting the subtle psychological and sensory factors influencing taste perception. At first glance, this paradox appears whimsical or trivial, yet beneath its surface lie profound insights into human psychology, sensory perception, and social dynamics. Let's delve deeper into understanding this intriguing paradox. Several factors contribute to why food prepared by others, particularly simple dishes like salads, seem consistently more enjoyable than self-prepared meals. First, sensory adaptation and expectation significantly shape taste perception. When preparing food yourself, your senses become accustomed to ingredients, aromas, and flavors during preparation, reducing sensory novelty and diminishing overall enjoyment. By contrast, food prepared by someone else arrives fresh and surprising, heightening sensory pleasure and appreciation. Additionally, psychological phenomena like the effort justification effect influence taste experiences. When someone else prepares your food, minimal personal effort creates heightened appreciation and enjoyment. Conversely, investing significant personal effort into preparation raises expectations, often leading to subtle disappointment or critical judgment if expectations aren't precisely met. Moreover, social and emotional dynamics play vital roles in taste perception. Food prepared by others often symbolizes care, nurturing, or hospitality, enhancing emotional satisfaction and overall enjoyment. This social dimension profoundly influences taste experiences, associating the meal with positive emotions, gratitude, or appreciation. The paradox also reflects a cognitive bias known as social proof, where individuals perceive items endorsed by others as superior. Food prepared by someone else carries implicit social validation, increasing perceived quality and enjoyment, regardless of objective similarity to self-prepared meals. Interestingly, this paradox isn't limited to salads or simple dishes. It extends to various culinary experiences, from coffee prepared by baristas to home-cooked meals made by loved ones. Across diverse contexts, food consistently tastes better when made by others, highlighting universal psychological and sensory factors at play. Can this paradox be practically addressed? Partially, by fostering mindfulness and gratitude during food preparation and consumption. Mindfully appreciating sensory experiences, consciously acknowledging effort and care, and setting realistic expectations enhance personal enjoyment of self-prepared meals. Additionally, sharing meal preparation or exchanging food preparation roles among friends or family can heighten enjoyment and appreciation, balancing personal effort with social and emotional satisfaction. On a broader societal level, understanding the salad paradox offers valuable insights for restaurants, cafes, and hospitality industries. Emphasizing sensory novelty, social dynamics, and emotional satisfaction in food presentation and service significantly enhances consumer enjoyment and loyalty. Ultimately, the salad paradox teaches profound lessons about human sensory perception, psychological biases, and social dynamics. It illustrates how subtle factors, novelty, effort, emotional connection, and social context profoundly shape everyday experiences, including something as simple as enjoying a salad. Next time you wonder why your own cooking doesn't quite match the deliciousness of others, recall the salad paradox. Reflect on the subtle psychological and sensory factors influencing your perception. Practice mindfulness, gratitude, and realistic expectations, consciously enhancing your culinary experiences. After all, acknowledging the salad paradox enriches your understanding of human psychology, sensory enjoyment, and social connections, ultimately allowing you to savor meals, self-prepared or otherwise, with deeper appreciation and delight. Paradox of self-improvement. Imagine dedicating yourself fully to becoming the best possible version of yourself. You set ambitious goals, pursue self-help advice, and strive relentlessly to improve your skills, habits, and mindset. Yet paradoxically, the more effort you invest in self-improvement, the more flaws you uncover, often leaving you feeling inadequate, overwhelmed, and increasingly dissatisfied with yourself. Welcome to the paradox of self-improvement, a fascinating psychological phenomenon highlighting the unexpected consequences of pursuing relentless personal growth. At first glance, self-improvement seems universally positive, promising greater happiness, success, and fulfillment. Yet, this paradox reveals hidden psychological pitfalls lurking beneath noble intentions. Let's carefully explore why this paradox emerges. At its core, the paradox arises from heightened self-awareness and perfectionism, fostered by constant self-improvement. Continuously analyzing personal performance, habits, and behaviors frequently magnifies perceived imperfections, fostering critical self-judgment and dissatisfaction rather than fulfillment. Psychologically, this paradox relates closely to hedonic adaptation and the moving goalpost effect. Individuals rapidly adapt to improvements and achievements, quickly viewing them as new baselines rather than genuine successes. This continuous upward adjustment of expectations perpetually defers satisfaction, reinforcing dissatisfaction and self-criticism. Moreover, excessive self-improvement fosters perfectionistic tendencies, causing individuals to fixate on minor flaws or setbacks disproportionately. Rather than appreciating substantial progress, individuals trapped in perfectionistic mindsets perceive continuous inadequacies, fueling anxiety, stress, and reduced overall well-being. Interestingly, the paradox also reflects societal and cultural pressures, promoting constant productivity, achievement, and self-optimization. Modern societies often glorify relentless growth, subtly implying that contentment or satisfaction equates to complacency or stagnation. This cultural narrative exacerbates self-criticism, perpetuating the paradox. Yet, can this paradox be practically addressed or mitigated? Indeed, through deliberate psychological strategies and balanced perspectives. Practicing self-compassion, recognizing inherent human imperfection, and embracing self-kindness significantly reduces negative impacts of perfectionism and critical self-assessment. Additionally, shifting focus from outcome-oriented goals to process-oriented growth fosters greater satisfaction. Emphasizing daily habits, learning processes, and incremental improvements rather than rigid benchmarks or perfection helps individuals enjoy the journey of self-improvement without becoming overwhelmed or dissatisfied. Mindfulness and gratitude further mitigate the paradox. Mindful awareness of present achievements and consistent gratitude for progress help counteract hedonic adaptation and perfectionism, enhancing overall psychological well-being and satisfaction. Institutionally, encouraging balanced cultural narratives promoting healthy, realistic self-improvement is essential. Educational, organizational, and media messaging emphasizing sustainable growth, realistic expectations, and self-acceptance significantly supports psychological health and genuine personal fulfillment. On a broader philosophical level, this paradox invites deep reflection about personal definitions of success, happiness, and fulfillment. Genuine self-improvement involves not merely achieving external goals or ideals, but cultivating authentic self-awareness, emotional resilience, and meaningful personal growth. Ultimately, the paradox of self-improvement teaches profound lessons about human psychology, motivation, and satisfaction. It reveals that relentless pursuit of perfection or external validation frequently undermines genuine happiness and well-being, emphasizing the importance of balance, mindfulness, and self-compassion. Next time you find yourself caught in relentless self-improvement cycles, pause to reflect on this paradox. Ask yourself, am I genuinely enjoying growth and progress, or merely chasing endless ideals of perfection? Practice self-compassion, mindful awareness, and gratitude to restore healthy psychological balance and satisfaction. Embracing the lessons of the paradox of self-improvement empowers genuine, sustainable personal growth, fostering authentic happiness, fulfillment, and resilience. After all, true improvement involves balanced growth, self-acceptance, and recognizing that sometimes less striving paradoxically leads to greater contentment and well-being. Paradox of less is more. Imagine facing a problem or a challenge where your natural instinct is to add more effort, more complexity, more resources to achieve better results. Yet paradoxically, sometimes doing less, simplifying the approach, or removing elements actually leads to significantly greater effectiveness, clarity, and success. How can reducing complexity or effort yield superior outcomes? Welcome to the paradox of less is more, a captivating phenomenon highlighting the counterintuitive power of simplicity, minimalism, and restraint. At first glance, this paradox seems illogical, contradicting the widespread belief that more inherently equates to better. Yet deeper exploration reveals profound psychological, practical, and philosophical truths. To unravel this paradox, let's explore key principles underlying its counterintuitive logic. One essential principle is cognitive clarity. Excessive complexity, information, or choices often overwhelm cognitive resources, causing confusion, decision fatigue, and diminished performance. Simplifying tasks, environments, or strategies reduces cognitive load, enhancing clarity, efficiency, and decision-making quality. Consider the psychological phenomenon of decision fatigue. Too many choices or overly complex decisions exhaust cognitive resources, impairing judgment and satisfaction. By intentionally limiting options or simplifying decisions, individuals and organizations paradoxically achieve greater efficiency, satisfaction, and success. Moreover, the paradox of less is more profoundly manifested in fields like design, art, and architecture, epitomized by minimalist movements. Removing extraneous elements accentuates essential qualities, enhancing aesthetic impact, functionality, and emotional resonance. This minimalist principle reflects how intentional reduction can significantly amplify impact and effectiveness. Interestingly, the paradox extends significantly into personal lifestyles and habits. Modern societies increasingly embrace minimalism, simplifying possessions, commitments, and routines to achieve greater happiness, satisfaction, and psychological well-being. Reducing material and cognitive clutter frequently enhances life satisfaction, emotional clarity, and overall happiness. From an organizational perspective, Embracing simplicity and minimalism often dramatically improves productivity, innovation, and effectiveness. Streamlining processes, reducing bureaucratic complexity, and focusing clearly on core objectives enable organizations to perform optimally, fostering clarity, adaptability, and sustainable growth. Yet, can individuals and organizations consciously harness this paradox practically? Absolutely. Embracing principles like prioritization, essentialism, and intentional minimalism significantly enhances outcomes. Focus clearly on essential priorities, reduce unnecessary complexity, and continuously simplify processes and environments to leverage this paradox's transformative power. Additionally, cultivating mindfulness and intentional awareness significantly facilitates the paradox's application. Mindful reflection identifies extraneous complexities and unnecessary efforts, empowering conscious reduction and strategic simplification, significantly enhancing personal and professional effectiveness. On a broader societal level, understanding the paradox of less is more encourages cultural shifts toward sustainability, mindful consumption, and balanced living. Societies prioritizing meaningful simplicity over unsustainable abundance achieve greater overall well-being, environmental sustainability, and communal harmony. Philosophically, the paradox profoundly challenges assumptions about value, effectiveness, and success. It questions consumerist and productivity-driven cultures, emphasizing deeper emotional fulfillment, intentional living, and genuine satisfaction derived from simplicity and clarity rather than excess or complexity. Ultimately, the paradox of less is more provides powerful insights into human cognition, emotional satisfaction, and sustainable effectiveness. It reveals that consciously reducing complexity, effort, and abundance frequently yields superior results, fostering clarity, happiness, and meaningful impact. Next time you encounter complexity, stress, or decision fatigue, recall this paradox. Reflect thoughtfully. How can simplifying your approach enhance effectiveness, clarity, and satisfaction? Embrace minimalism, intentional prioritization, and conscious restraint to leverage this powerful paradox practically and meaningfully. Embracing the lessons of the paradox of less is more empowers genuine effectiveness, satisfaction, and clarity, reminding us that true success and happiness often emerge from intentional simplicity rather than overwhelming abundance or complexity. Infinite monkey paradox. Imagine an infinite number of monkeys randomly striking keys on an infinite number of typewriters. Given infinite time, they would eventually produce the complete works of Shakespeare, the entirety of human literature, and even your life story, word for word. How can random, mindless actions eventually yield profound, structured masterpieces? Welcome to the Infinite Monkey Paradox, a captivating thought experiment highlighting fundamental principles of probability, randomness, and infinity. At first glance, this scenario seems absurd and impossible. Yet, deeper examination reveals profound mathematical truths and philosophical insights. Let's carefully unravel the paradox. The infinite monkey theorem demonstrates a fundamental principle of probability. With infinite time and infinite attempts, every finite sequence of events, no matter how improbable, becomes not only possible but inevitable. This theorem underscores the difference between improbability and impossibility. While the chance of randomly typing Hamlet, for example, is astronomically low, infinite attempts guarantee eventual success. Each additional random attempt slightly increases the cumulative probability, ultimately reaching certainty with infinite repetitions. Interestingly, the paradox profoundly illustrates concepts of infinity and randomness. Humans intuitively misunderstand or underestimate infinite processes. frequently confusing extremely low probabilities with absolute impossibility. The infinite monkey paradox vividly challenges these intuitive misconceptions. Moreover, the paradox raises intriguing philosophical questions about randomness, creativity, and intelligence. If random processes can eventually produce literary masterpieces, does genuine creativity or intelligence involve inherent randomness? Is structured thought fundamentally distinct from random trial and error, or merely accelerated probability manipulation? Practically, this paradox has significant implications for fields like artificial intelligence, computer science, and evolutionary biology. Algorithms employing randomized trial and error, like genetic algorithms or machine learning techniques, leverage this paradoxical principle. Structured solutions often emerge from initially random processes. Yet, can we witness practical outcomes of the infinite monkey paradox within finite contexts? Realistically, no. Achieving such improbable outcomes practically demands computational power, time, and resources vastly exceeding human limits. Nonetheless, understanding the paradox enriches appreciation for probability theory, randomness, and infinity concepts. Additionally, this paradox fosters deeper appreciation for human creativity and intentional design. While randomness can theoretically produce structured masterpieces given infinite time, human creativity achieves intentional structure, beauty, and coherence efficiently, reflecting sophisticated cognitive and emotional capacities beyond random chance. Philosophically, the paradox also challenges assumptions about meaning, intentionality, and significance. If randomness can produce meaningful texts, is meaning fundamentally inherent or externally ascribed by human interpretation? Does meaning require intentional authorship, or can it emerge purely from randomness? Institutionally, understanding this paradox influences approaches to creativity, problem-solving, and innovation. Encouraging exploration, experimentation, and iterative randomness within structured environments often yields unexpected yet valuable discoveries, harnessing randomness creatively and productively. Ultimately, the infinite monkey paradox provides profound lessons about probability, randomness, infinity, and creativity. It highlights the nuanced interplay between randomness and structure, challenging simplistic assumptions about possibility, creativity, and intentionality. Next time you encounter improbability or creative stagnation, recall this paradox. Reflect thoughtfully. Could introducing randomness, experimentation, or iterative trial and error enhance creativity, problem-solving, or discovery? Embracing the lessons of the infinite monkey paradox enriches our understanding of creativity, probability, and human cognition. After all, acknowledging randomness's hidden potential paradoxically empowers deeper appreciation for intentional human creativity and structured innovation. Paradox of unanimity. Imagine a jury unanimously agreeing on a verdict, a scientific panel unanimously endorsing a theory, or a team uniformly supporting a decision. At first glance, unanimous agreement seems ideal, perfect evidence of correctness and unity. Yet paradoxically, absolute unanimity can sometimes indicate errors, bias, or underlying problems rather than genuine certainty. How can complete agreement, typically seen as a strength, paradoxically signal potential flaws? Welcome to the paradox of unanimity, a fascinating phenomenon highlighting counterintuitive insights into consensus, judgment, and decision-making. While unanimous agreement initially appears optimal, deeper examination reveals how complete unanimity can paradoxically suggest overlooked errors, biases, or conformity pressures. Let's carefully unravel this paradox. Statistically and psychologically, absolute unanimity, especially in complex decisions or uncertain conditions, is highly improbable. Diverse individuals naturally possess varying perspectives, experiences, and interpretations, making perfect agreement inherently suspect. Mathematically, unanimous agreement in certain contexts, such as eyewitness testimonies, expert judgments, or group decisions, can indicate hidden biases, conformity pressures, or flawed decision-making processes. When unanimity emerges effortlessly, it may reflect conformity, groupthink, or systematic errors rather than genuine accuracy. Psychologically, this paradox closely relates to concepts like groupthink, confirmation bias, and social conformity. Group pressures toward consensus often suppress dissent, critical questioning, and independent thinking. Paradoxically, this leads groups to confidently yet inaccurately endorse flawed decisions or erroneous conclusions. Consider judicial scenarios. Unanimous eyewitness identifications often indicate problematic lineup procedures, suggestive questioning, or biased evidence rather than genuine certainty. Similarly, unanimous expert endorsements in complex fields can signal conformity pressures, insufficient skepticism, or inadequate independent review. Interestingly, the paradox of unanimity also emerges vividly in scientific research. Absolute consensus among researchers, particularly early in scientific exploration, may indicate insufficient diversity of thought, inadequate scrutiny, or premature conclusions rather than robust certainty. Yet, can groups practically address or mitigate this paradox? Indeed, by consciously fostering dissent, encouraging diverse perspectives, and deliberately embracing critical questioning. Cultivating environments supporting healthy skepticism, debate, and independent judgment significantly enhances decision accuracy and robustness. Moreover, embracing structured decision-making processes, such as devil's advocacy, independent reviews, or pre-mortems, actively counters conformity pressures and biases. These strategies intentionally introduce critical examination, dissenting views, and diverse perspectives, reducing problematic unanimity and enhancing decision quality. Institutionally, awareness of this paradox significantly informs best practices in judicial processes, scientific research, organizational decision-making, and policy formulation. Promoting transparency, diversity, and structured skepticism profoundly improves outcomes, reducing risks associated with unquestioned unanimity. On a broader societal level, understanding this paradox enriches democratic decision-making, public policy debates, and collective judgment processes. Encouraging respectful disagreement, critical inquiry, and diverse voices strengthens societal resilience, effectiveness, and genuine consensus. Building. Philosophically, the paradox of unanimity challenges assumptions about certainty, consensus, and truth. It reveals how genuine confidence in decisions or knowledge requires not blind unanimity, but thoughtful deliberation, independent verification, and respectful dissent. Ultimately, this paradox offers profound insights into human psychology, group dynamics, and decision-making processes. It teaches that authentic accuracy, robustness, and quality emerge not from effortless unanimity, but from intentional diversity, critical thinking, and structured dissent. Next time you encounter unanimous agreement, pause and reflect carefully. Is unanimity genuinely warranted, or could it indicate overlooked biases, conformity pressures, or insufficient scrutiny? Encourage critical questioning, embrace respectful dissent, and actively pursue genuine consensus. Peto's paradox. Imagine comparing a tiny mouse to a giant elephant. Intuitively, you'd expect the massive elephant with trillions more cells to be significantly more susceptible to cancer than the small mouse. Yet, paradoxically, large animals like elephants and whales rarely develop cancer, while smaller creatures experience higher cancer rates. How can larger animals with vastly more cells and thus greater potential for harmful mutations paradoxically suffer less from cancer? Welcome to Peto's Paradox, a fascinating biological and evolutionary puzzle highlighting unexpected relationships between organism size, lifespan, and cancer incidence. At first glance, this paradox defies logic. More cells should inherently mean more chances for cancerous mutations. Yet, reality demonstrates the opposite, challenging fundamental assumptions about cancer biology and evolutionary theory. To understand this paradox deeply, let's explore key biological principles. Cancer fundamentally arises from genetic mutations accumulating over cell divisions. Intuitively, more cells and longer lifespans should significantly increase cancer likelihood. However, large, long-lived animals exhibit remarkably low cancer rates, highlighting intriguing biological adaptations and evolutionary mechanisms. Research reveals several biological explanations addressing Peto's paradox. Large animals possess enhanced tumor suppression mechanisms, robust genetic systems effectively identifying and eliminating cancerous cells early. Elephants, for example, have multiple copies of tumor suppressor genes like TP53, significantly enhancing their ability to prevent cancer formation compared to smaller animals. Evolutionarily, large animals have developed powerful protective mechanisms due to increased selective pressures from cancer. Organisms evolving larger body sizes and extended lifespans required robust genetic strategies mitigating cancer risks, favoring enhanced tumor suppression, efficient DNA repair mechanisms, and cellular resilience. Additionally, metabolic rates and cellular replication speeds influence cancer susceptibility. Smaller animals typically exhibit rapid metabolisms and faster cellular divisions, accelerating genetic mutations and cancer progression. Larger animals possess slower metabolisms and reduced cell division rates, inherently lowering mutation frequencies and cancer risks. Interestingly, Peto's paradox significantly informs human cancer research, treatment strategies, and biomedical advancements. Understanding genetic and evolutionary adaptations protecting large animals from cancer provides invaluable insights, guiding novel therapeutic developments, cancer prevention strategies, and enhanced biomedical research. Practically, this paradox inspires innovative research directions in cancer biology, genetics, and evolutionary medicine. Investigating unique genetic traits and cellular mechanisms in large, cancer-resistant animals offers promising pathways toward groundbreaking cancer treatments, preventive measures, and improved human health outcomes. Moreover, the paradox enriches evolutionary theory and biological understanding of organismal biology. It highlights how selective pressures, genetic adaptations, and evolutionary strategies profoundly influence organism health, lifespan, and disease susceptibility, shaping biodiversity and biological complexity. Philosophically, Peto's paradox challenges intuitive assumptions about size, complexity, and biological vulnerability. It underscores the intricate relationships between genetics, evolution, and biological resilience, reminding us of nature's astonishing adaptive capacity, complexity, and balance. Institutionally, embracing insights from Peto's paradox profoundly influences biomedical research, conservation biology, and healthcare strategies. Understanding protective genetic adaptations informs conservation efforts for large mammals, enhances biomedical research accuracy, and inspires innovative healthcare approaches combating human diseases. Ultimately, Peto's paradox offers profound biological, evolutionary, and medical insights. It teaches valuable lessons about genetic resilience, evolutionary adaptation, and biological complexity, significantly enriching scientific understanding and inspiring transformative biomedical research directions. Next time you ponder biological complexity or cancer risks, reflect thoughtfully on this paradox. Consider the remarkable evolutionary adaptations, protecting large animals from cancer, marveling at nature's intricate genetic strategies and evolutionary wisdom. Acknowledging Peto's paradox enriches our appreciation of evolutionary biology, genetics, and medical science. It inspires continued curiosity, innovative research, and deeper understanding of life's astonishing biological complexity, resilience, and adaptive capacity. False positive paradox. Imagine taking a medical test for a rare disease. You test positive, and anxiety immediately sets in. However, due to the disease's rarity, the test might actually be wrong despite its high accuracy. Paradoxically, positive test results in rare conditions can frequently be incorrect. How can highly accurate tests yield so many false alarms? Welcome to the false positive paradox, a crucial and often misunderstood statistical phenomenon highlighting counterintuitive insights about medical testing, diagnostic accuracy, and probability. At first glance, this paradox defies common intuition. Highly accurate tests should logically produce reliable results. Yet, deeper examination reveals complexities that significantly challenge intuitive expectations. To unravel this paradox, let's explore core principles of probability and statistics. Even highly accurate tests, those with high sensitivity, ability to detect actual positives, and specificity, ability to detect actual negatives, can produce misleading results in populations where the disease or condition is rare. The paradox emerges clearly when considering base rates, the initial prevalence or likelihood of a condition in the tested population. In rare conditions, the probability that a positive test result genuinely indicates disease, known as positive predictive value, drastically decreases despite the test's high accuracy. Consider this illustrative scenario. A disease affects 1 in 1,000 people. A test accurately identifies 99% of actual positives and correctly rules out 95% of negatives. If 1,000 people take this test, only 1 actually has the disease. However, approximately 50 people could incorrectly test positive, vastly outnumbering the single true positive. Thus, most positive results would actually be false positives. This paradox profoundly impacts medical testing, screening programs, and healthcare decisions. Misunderstanding this paradox frequently leads to unnecessary anxiety, further testing, and medical interventions. Therefore, comprehending this phenomenon is essential for informed decision-making, both for patients and healthcare providers. Practically, addressing this paradox involves clearly communicating the probability implications of test results, emphasizing base rates and context-specific predictive values. Healthcare professionals must effectively educate patients about interpreting positive results, especially in rare conditions. Additionally, institutions must thoughtfully design screening strategies and diagnostic protocols, considering base rate implications. selective targeted testing strategies significantly mitigate false positive risks, enhancing medical effectiveness, reducing patient anxiety, and minimizing unnecessary medical interventions. Interestingly, the false positive paradox extends beyond medicine, influencing fields like cybersecurity, fraud detection, and law enforcement. Systems designed to detect rare events, such as security breaches or financial fraud, inherently risk numerous false positives, underscoring the universal relevance of understanding this statistical phenomenon. Moreover, this paradox enriches broader societal understanding of statistical literacy, risk assessment, and probabilistic reasoning. Encouraging widespread statistical education significantly enhances informed decision-making, critical thinking, and effective communication across diverse societal contexts. Philosophically, the false positive paradox challenges assumptions about certainty, reliability, and intuitive reasoning. It underscores human cognitive biases, particularly misunderstanding of probabilities, base rates, and statistical reasoning, encouraging intellectual humility, careful interpretation, and informed skepticism. Ultimately, the false positive paradox offers profound insights into probability, medical testing, and informed decision-making. It teaches essential lessons about statistical reasoning, cognitive biases, and effective risk communication, significantly enriching scientific understanding and practical decision-making processes. Next time you encounter diagnostic testing or probabilistic reasoning scenarios, reflect thoughtfully on this paradox. Carefully consider base rates, predictive values, and statistical implications, enabling informed, thoughtful decision-making and reducing anxiety from misunderstood results. Acknowledging the false positive paradox enriches statistical literacy, enhances critical reasoning, and empowers informed decisions in healthcare, security, and everyday life. After all, appreciating this paradox significantly improves our capacity to navigate complexities, probabilities, and uncertainties inherent to modern life. Achilles and the tortoise. Imagine the legendary Greek hero Achilles racing against a slow-moving tortoise. Confidently, Achilles offers the tortoise a generous head start. Yet paradoxically, according to logical reasoning, Achilles can never overtake the tortoise. How can the fastest warrior fail to catch the slowest creature? Welcome to Achilles and the Tortoise, a classic philosophical puzzle formulated by ancient Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea. At first glance, this paradox defies common sense. Intuitively, Achilles should easily catch and surpass the tortoise. Yet, careful logical examination produces astonishing conclusions that challenge fundamental assumptions about motion, space, and infinity. Let's carefully explore Zeno's paradox. Suppose the tortoise has a 100-meter head start. By the time Achilles runs 100 meters to reach that starting point, the tortoise moves forward another smaller distance, say 10 meters. Achilles then must cover this additional distance, but during that time, the tortoise advances further, perhaps 1 meter. Each subsequent interval Achilles runs becomes progressively smaller, yet each time, the tortoise always remains slightly ahead. Logically, this reasoning suggests Achilles must cross infinitely many intervals to catch the tortoise, seemingly an impossible task. Thus, paradoxically, Achilles never overtakes the tortoise, despite clearly superior speed. This paradox profoundly challenges intuitive concepts of space, time, and motion. Mathematically, Resolving Zeno's paradox involves understanding infinite series and limits. While Achilles must indeed traverse infinitely many intervals, the time required decreases rapidly with each step. Mathematically, the sum of these infinitely many decreasing intervals converges to a finite time, allowing Achilles to logically and practically overtake the tortoise. Interestingly, Zeno's paradox significantly influenced mathematical and philosophical understanding of infinity, calculus, and continuity. It vividly illustrates how finite distances and durations can encompass infinite subdivisions, fundamentally shaping concepts of mathematical analysis, calculus, and modern physics. Philosophically, this paradox profoundly challenges assumptions about motion, space, and reality. Zeno used this puzzle to argue that motion was illusory, questioning fundamental assumptions about reality and sensory experience. While contemporary mathematics resolves the paradox practically, its philosophical implications continue inspiring deep inquiry and debate. Practically, understanding Achilles and the tortoise enriches mathematical reasoning, physics education, and philosophical discourse. It serves as a powerful educational tool illustrating mathematical concepts of limits, infinity, and convergence, significantly enhancing conceptual understanding and critical thinking. Additionally, institutions and educators leverage this paradox effectively within mathematics curricula, physics classrooms, and philosophical studies. Demonstrating practical resolutions to this paradox significantly enhances educational strategies, improving student comprehension, engagement, and critical reasoning skills. Moreover, appreciating Zeno's paradox enriches broader societal understanding of mathematics, physics, and philosophy. It highlights human cognitive struggles with concepts like infinity and continuous motion, emphasizing intellectual humility, critical inquiry, and thoughtful philosophical reflection. Ultimately, Achilles and the Tortoise offers profound lessons about mathematical infinity, motion, and philosophical inquiry. It challenges intuitive perceptions, fosters mathematical understanding, and inspires philosophical curiosity, significantly enriching human intellectual exploration and conceptual comprehension. Next time you encounter puzzling concepts of infinity, motion, or logical reasoning, reflect thoughtfully on this paradox. Carefully consider the intricacies of infinite subdivisions, mathematical convergence, and philosophical implications, enriching your intellectual understanding and critical reasoning abilities. Acknowledging Achilles and the tortoise enriches mathematical literacy, philosophical awareness, and conceptual comprehension. It reminds us that seemingly simple scenarios often hide profound complexities, significantly enhancing our capacity to navigate and appreciate the subtleties inherent in mathematics, philosophy, and everyday life. The voting paradox. Imagine a democratic election where 3 or more options are presented. Each voter ranks their choices honestly, yet paradoxically, the group's collective preferences become cyclic or contradictory. In other words, no clear winner emerges because the group's majority preferences conflict, resulting in an impossible logical loop. How can democratic processes lead to seemingly irrational outcomes? Welcome to the voting paradox, also known as Condorcet's paradox, a fascinating phenomenon highlighting unexpected challenges within democratic decision-making systems. At first glance, democratic voting appears straightforward. Collective preferences logically aggregate individual choices. Yet deeper exploration reveals surprising complexities that challenge intuitive expectations about fairness and consistency. To unravel this paradox, consider a simple scenario with 3 voters and 3 candidates, A, B, and C. Suppose voter 1 prefers A over B over C, voter 2 prefers B over C over A, and voter 3 prefers C over A over B. Strikingly, majority voting reveals a paradoxical outcome. Majority prefers A over B, majority prefers B over C. Majority prefers C over A. Thus, the group preferences become cyclic. A greater than B, greater than C, greater than A. No clear winner emerges, creating logical inconsistency. This paradox profoundly challenges fundamental assumptions about democratic fairness, rationality, and collective decision-making. It demonstrates how individually rational preferences aggregate into collectively irrational outcomes, undermining simplistic views of democratic voting and majority rule. Interestingly, the voting paradox significantly influenced political science, economics, and social choice theory. It inspired extensive research exploring voting systems, fairness criteria, and collective rationality. Nobel laureate Kenneth Arrow formalized these issues in Arrow's impossibility theorem, highlighting inherent challenges within all voting systems. Practically, understanding this paradox significantly impacts electoral systems, voting methods, and political decision-making. Various voting systems, such as ranked choice voting, approval voting, or runoff elections, aim to mitigate paradoxical outcomes, improving democratic fairness, consistency, and legitimacy. Institutionally, awareness of the voting paradox guides electoral reforms, enhancing transparency, voter education, and effective democratic governance. Carefully designed voting systems can significantly reduce irrational outcomes, fostering public trust, democratic legitimacy, and political stability. Philosophically, the paradox enriches debates about democracy, fairness, and rationality. It underscores inherent tensions within collective decision-making, highlighting limitations of majority rule and prompting exploration of alternative democratic ideals, emphasizing deliberation, consensus building, and compromise. Moreover, the paradox significantly enriches broader societal understanding of democracy, voting systems, and political fairness. Recognizing inherent complexities within democratic decision-making fosters intellectual humility, informed skepticism, and careful deliberation, significantly enhancing democratic participation and civic engagement. Ultimately, the voting paradox provides profound insights into democratic theory, social choice, and collective decision-making. It challenges simplistic notions of democracy, majority rule, and rationality, inspiring innovative democratic reforms, informed electoral choices, and thoughtful political engagement. Next time you participate in democratic processes, reflect thoughtfully on this paradox. Consider complexities underlying voting systems, majority preferences, and collective rationality. Advocate for transparent, fair, and effective electoral systems, enriching democratic governance and civic participation. Acknowledging the voting paradox significantly enhances democratic literacy, political awareness, and critical reasoning. It reminds us that democratic decision-making, despite inherent challenges, remains vital, encouraging continuous improvement, informed engagement, and thoughtful democratic innovation. Drinker's paradox. Imagine entering a busy cafe filled with customers. Surprisingly, you can confidently assert a seemingly absurd claim. There is at least one person here such that if that person is drinking coffee, then everyone here is drinking coffee. How can such an unusual and logically strange statement be unquestionably true? Welcome to the Drinker's Paradox, a captivating logical puzzle highlighting intriguing insights about conditional statements, logic, and human intuition. Initially, this paradox appears utterly nonsensical. How can one person's behavior logically dictate everyone's actions? To unravel this paradox, let's explore fundamental principles of formal logic and conditional statements. The paradox leverages a subtle yet powerful logical truth. A conditional statement, if P, then Q, is always true when its antecedent P is false. Applying this principle to our cafe scenario, consider two possibilities. First, suppose everyone in the cafe is indeed drinking coffee. Then clearly, for any person chosen, the conditional statement is trivially true. Since the statement, if that person is drinking coffee, everyone is drinking coffee, is obviously correct. Second, suppose at least one person is not drinking coffee. Select precisely that person. Now, the conditional statement says, if this person is drinking coffee, which they're not, then everyone is drinking coffee. Since the antecedent is false, the statement remains logically true. Thus, no matter the scenario, there always exists at least one person who satisfies this seemingly absurd claim. This paradox vividly illustrates logical implications, highlighting subtle differences between everyday language and formal logic. Interestingly, Drinker's paradox enriches philosophical and logical understanding of conditional statements and logical validity. It vividly demonstrates how logical truths can defy intuitive expectations, revealing fascinating gaps between formal logic and human intuition. Practically, understanding this paradox significantly informs fields such as logic, computer science, and mathematics. Educators use this paradox effectively in logic and philosophy courses, enhancing student understanding of conditional reasoning, logical implication, and formal logic structures. Institutionally, awareness of logical paradoxes like this improves clarity in legal reasoning, philosophical debates, and computational logic systems. Clear understanding of conditional statements and logical implications significantly strengthens reasoning accuracy, decision-making quality, and philosophical discourse. Philosophically, the Drinker's paradox encourages deeper exploration into truth, language, and logical structures. It emphasizes careful examination of intuitive judgments, highlighting the nuanced complexities inherent in logical reasoning and everyday language. Moreover, this paradox significantly enriches broader societal appreciation of logical literacy and critical reasoning. Understanding subtle logical truths helps individuals navigate complex information, avoid logical fallacies, and enhance informed decision-making in diverse contexts. Ultimately, Drinker's paradox provides valuable lessons about conditional logic, philosophical inquiry, and intellectual humility. It teaches that intuitive assumptions frequently overlook subtle logical complexities, encouraging thoughtful skepticism, careful reasoning, and deeper intellectual engagement. Next time you encounter puzzling conditional statements or logical claims, reflect thoughtfully on this paradox. Carefully consider logical structures and conditional truths, enhancing your logical literacy, critical reasoning, and philosophical understanding. Acknowledging Drinker's paradox enriches our understanding of logic, language, and reasoning. It reminds us that seemingly absurd statements can hold profound logical truths, significantly improving our capacity for careful reasoning, thoughtful skepticism, and intellectual curiosity.